Beaver game last week? Yeah. Do you have season tickets?
I do.
You do? Nice. It's a fun one to take in.
Wow. You know, if they play defense like that, they can literally beat anyone.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you know, Wisconsin is not going to be as quick side to side of the field as Oregon and Arizona. These teams are going to run this spread. But I'll tell you what, Oregon State's linebackers were all over the place.
Big improvement from last year, right?
Huge improvement.
Hey guys.
That's good to see.
They just actually look
So
like
this is
they're
what we're
playing
doing over there. And I'm going to
football
draw little
instead of
samples
thinking-
over for you. A little brisket and the sauce. They got sandwiches over there called the Strossers. We want to give you guys an opportunity to taste it. Dip it in there. Sauce is first time ever public. There you go. Dip it in there.
I don't want meat in my teeth.
It's a brisket with like a
Yeah,
full thing.
I had
Go.
so my shift at the radio station finishes at 3, so I was
Where are
like
you at?
at 7:50 game.
Okay.
So I worked the morning shift and then I worked with Canzano in the early afternoon.
Oh, you do?
3, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm an update anchor and contributor.
Okay.
So
Of course, that's where I'm at.
yeah. So, but I was like, what am I going to do? Because I live in Beaverton, so I'm not going to go home and then drive back across town to try and get
I
everything.
didn't eat.
Really? No, I just got over here like 4 and I went
Here you go,
to.
guys. Try that.
Oh, jeez.
I'll take it.
There you go.
Okay, all right. I'm in.
What do they call this sandwich?
It's called a Strasser after the head coach over there.
Wow.
That's pretty good stuff.
That work?
That's good. Yeah. We may have to give you a little plug here for the
And
Strasser.
you get the sandwich free if you buy 3 raffle tickets for the grill with the remote. An upgrade from a Traeger. I'm sorry, Coach.
Well, that was tasty.
That was pretty good. That was worth it. That was worth a little
So
meal.
I would imagine that Joe Becker would get the Strasser when he comes over here.
Oh yeah, it has to, doesn't he?
I think so.
Saw Kyle Aboshi up there.
No, I didn't. That would be great. Thank you. Are they? I didn't even know they were up there. Thank you. So what are we going to do? 5 minutes? What do you want to do?
What we did last week, it doesn't matter to me. What we did last week is just we just came on after the national anthem.
That's fine.
So I mean,
Pickett and I,
yeah.
we went on before the match, and then it was, oh, thank you very much. I say let's go on.
It just makes it smoother because then
Good idea.
you don't start talking and have to stop talking.
Good idea. I like that. Did you tell our guy here what we're doing?
We'll go on live. We'll go on live after the national anthem.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna, in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna put us on air with the video looping to saying the broadcast will begin soon. National anthem, I'm gonna put up the team locator. Right after that, we're gonna kind of get ready.
You just point to us when it's time to talk.
I got you, buddy.
Aaron Richardson. And a 230-pound senior, number 71, Austin Gill. At wide receiver, a 170-pound sophomore, number 3, Hunter Davis. 165-pound senior, number 4, Kyle Patterson.
No relation.
175-pound senior, number 12, Kyle
Unless he's really a stud.
Yeah.
That's part of the lineage.
Yep. Distant cousin. Distant cousin.
number 34. And a quarterback, a 175-pound senior, number 6, Tim Patrick. Scots are coached by Dan Wood. And now, your defensive lineup for your...
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense. We're going to come at you.
One shot at this.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Loads.
Brandon S.B.
We'll go with that.
Head coach of the
works for
Pioneers,
me.
Kevin Strasser. This is their about right.
Ready to go start recording?
So basically, for Friday night, these local TV stations got even get the news people over these games, right? He's a news guy, but they got to cover him, right?
Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Football here on the PlayOn Sports Network. Along with my analyst Jim Patterson, I'm Fletcher Johnson, speaking to you tonight from Pioneer Memorial Stadium in Oregon City, Oregon, as we get you set for the David Douglas Scots out of the Mount Hood Conference facing off against the home Oregon City Pioneers out of the Three Rivers League. And Jim, as we look at these two teams in this matchup tonight, these two sides are very familiar with one another.
Well, they've played each other, I think, 4 times in the last 4 years, so they do know each other pretty well. And it'll be interesting. Both teams come into the game 1-1 last week with victories. David Douglas over South Salem, Oregon City beating Crater. I'll be interested to see how the spread and pistol offense goes in week number 3, because these are offenses that take a little bit of time for quarterbacks, receivers to get a feel for the offense. So they'll be tuned up here in week number 3, and it'll be interesting to see how many points we put on the board today.
And as we first look at the visiting David Douglas Scots, they're led by quarterback Tim Patrick. Had a bit of a shaky first week, split time with Henry Vu, but week 2, much better performance in a victory over South Salem, 38-20 through 3 touchdown passes and ran for 1 as well. So it seems like Patrick has kind of found his rhythm here early on in the season.
Well, and that's not unusual that teams will, unless they've got an incumbent starter that's come in, they'll settle on someone in either the second or third game, and it all depends on how the team plays and rallies around that. For David Douglas, Patrick's their guy tonight.
And as we look over at Oregon City as well, they lost to Camas in week 1, although Camas expected to be a very good team there in southern Washington. They come back in week 2 and beat Crater 30-14, thanks in part to Mitchell Thompson, the senior running back, rushing for 220 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. So they like to move the ball around, but they got a good back in the backfield as well.
They do, and they're going to balance that offense. It is spread, but it's also zone read. So quarterback's going to be looking at the line of scrimmage when they can get a 5 or 6 yard run play to keep the defense off balance. They're certainly going to try and do that.
When you look at this matchup, as you mentioned, this will be the 4th time that these two teams have played in the last 3 years. Oregon City has won the previous 3. If you're over on that David Douglas sideline, how much motivation is that to try and finally get one against the Pioneers?
Well, I mean, maybe a little extra motivation, because anytime you see the same team, they say it's always hard to beat the same team twice. It's really hard to beat the same team 5 times or 4 times. So I think there is a little extra motivation, but, you know, this is just another game on their schedule, but an important game at the beginning of the year.
Especially given that both teams are 1-1, this is really the last non-conference game before you get into the league schedule. How important do you think it is to get off to that right start in that last game before you get into league play?
Well, coaches are wanting to make sure their teams are tuned up. So Coach Wood for David Douglas, Coach Strasser for Oregon City. This is really their final tune-up game before they really start the march towards the OSAA playoffs. And every team that takes the field, that's one of the goals, is to make the playoffs. So this is a tune-up game and very important for both squads.
You speak of Coach Dan Wood out at David Douglas High School, 24th year. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Well, 24 years any place, the same place, is pretty impressive.
Nowadays, right?
And Coach Wood's done a great job and obviously has the respect of the folks in the district at David Douglas, and also has really produced a lot of good football players. And so I think that continuity, although he has not been afraid to change as times have changed. So now they're running the pistol offense. They didn't used to run that back in the day when I was coaching high school football here in Beaverton. They ran a different offense. So he's been able to adapt to whatever works during whatever decade he's coached.
Certainly one of the big losses for David Douglas, Ohaghama Odigazua, senior, who is the younger brother of Oa Odigazua down at UCLA. He suffered an MCL sprain and is out, and he missed time last year as well. How big of a loss do you think it is for the David Douglas Scots that they don't have him on the lineup or in the lineup?
Obviously he was going to be a two-way starter, so he was very important to David Douglas. And just from a personal standpoint, you feel really sorry for the player, because I mean, he's put a lot of time in the offseason to recover from the shoulder surgery. Then he gets the strain or the tear of the, I think it's the MCL, yeah, which is, it's devastating for any kid, but especially as a senior. But it could provide some extra motivation for the Scots, too, because they know how important this season has been to him. So I expect they'll come out and play very well tonight.
We are about set to get things ready to go out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium in Oregon City, Oregon. Thanks for joining us here on the PlayOn Sports Network. Along with my analyst, Jim Peterson, I'm Fletcher Johnson. Oregon City won the toss and will receive to start this first half as we are just about a minute from getting underway out here in Oregon City. As we look at David Douglas over their recent history, they were a team that went 4-8 last year, 5th in the Mount Hood Conference, 1-4 in conference. They return 11 starters from that team this year. 19 of those guys have varsity experience, so they return some guys who know what they're doing out there. But this is a program that has had some ups and downs. In 2010, they went 6-4 and 4-1 in the Mount Hood, but they lost in the first round of Canby. You go back to 2009, they were 4-6, yet they were 4-3 in the Mount Hood. So they've shown that they have the ability to get some things done, and it's just a matter of building that consistency, and it seems like that might be a little bit of what's lacking with the Scots team.
Well, the other thing that jumps off the page to me is 35 seniors. So they have a lot of seniors who, this is it. This is for many of them, they won't play another season of football. So that's 35 motivated guys to do something special for David Douglas High School.
Absolutely. We're about set for the opening kick, and it will be David Douglas kicking off. To start things off, Hugo Alvarez will take it from the 40. Martin takes it at about the 10. And out past the 30, and Oregon City will take over with good starting field position on their first possession at about the 35-yard line, as it is Jacob Tipton who will lead the Oregon City Pioneers out. And you look at Tipton in that loss to Camas, threw for 265 yards and a touchdown. A lot of the offense, because of that spread, really kind of runs through him, doesn't it, Jim?
No question about it. He's the trigger man, and everything runs through number 11, Jacob Tipton.
No backs in the backfield here, as Tipton will take the snap. Looking downfield, slips, throws it down the middle of the field. Opportunity for an interception here, and it's taken. Kyle Miller across midfield. Stays on his feet down inside the 35-yard line, so right off the bat, Jim, a big play for that David Douglas Scots defense, but it's because of the pressure.
Well, Samson Ibukam was the guy that put pressure, number 20. And then more impressive, after the interception, Ibukam kept Tipton down on the ground on the run back. So a big play, first turnover on the first play of the game, and David Douglas inside the Pioneer territory. Let's see what they can do with their pistol offense.
Tim Patrick at quarterback, and Reesno in the backfield. Reesno will take the handoff and come right. And taken down after a nice 3 to 4 yard gain as he gets down inside the 30 to the 29-yard line.
Well, nice job on the little stretch play, a little sweep to the right, and the running back wants to find that shoot, but then he can turn upfield. A good job there by Reesno.
Yeah.
Reesno to make the gain of about 4 yards.
Bit of a two-headed monster at running back for the Scots. We'll tell you about that in a moment. As Patrick looks for his receiver, finds one down the field, makes one man miss, and down to the 12-yard line goes Kyle Patterson. So positive plays here for the Scots on their first 2 offensive plays.
Well, and what I was really impressed with in Tim Patrick is he felt the pressure, but he didn't panic. He stepped up in the pocket, found himself a little space, and was able to get the ball to Patterson for a nice gain.
Reesno and the aforementioned Ebukam combined for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Week 1 loss to Sunset, as the flag will come out. Is that a blue flag out there from the umpire, Jim?
Yeah, that's
Eyes
interesting.
deceiving me?
That's interesting. Looks like Patrick may have been able to draw Oregon City offside with a cadence, a hard count. That's exactly what happened.
And it was offside, so move the ball down inside the 10-yard line after that penalty, down to about the 7.5. It'll be first down and 5 for the Scott offense here. Just under 11 minutes to go in the first quarter. Handoff will go to Reesno, and he's hit in the backfield immediately and taken down. A great play there by DJ Vandervoort.
So as a part of the spread, the quarterback is right away looking at the line of scrimmage. You'll notice the wide splits by the linemen, wide receivers, very wide. They try to spread that defense out so they can create those lanes and those running gaps. And then it's just a matter of Patrick making a good read to either decide to hand the ball off or take the ball, throw it, or keep it himself.
Second down now for the Scott offense. Keep an eye on Kyle Miller out there far to the left, 6'2", 175-pounder. But the handoff will go to Reesno once again up the middle. Tries to spin off one man and taken down at about the 8-yard line, I would say. Yeah, 8-yard line. So it'll set up a big third down for the Scott offense right off the bat and a bigger third down for the Pioneer defense.
Andrew Etzel on defense, very active linebackers. I really like the way they're flying to the football, especially down inside the 10-yard line. It's just read and react. Once they see it, go get it. Good job there by Etzel.
Patrick takes the snap and will look down the field nearly. He actually caught his receiver, Kyle Patterson, off guard there. It was a good throw by Patrick, kind of before his receiver turned around, putting the ball in a place where it needed to be.
Well, and I think that Patterson may have been expecting the ball to be thrown to the sideline part of the field, and the ball was actually thrown to the inside, so it was actually thrown a little bit behind him, and it just caught him off guard. So the incomplete pass, and Hugo Alvarez, who Fletcher, by the way, hit a 50-yarder in warm-ups, is in for the field goal.
And Patrick will hold it. Kick is up and through by Hugo Alvarez. So after an interception on the first offensive play for Oregon City, David Douglas takes it down and gets 3 points. 9 minutes, 26 seconds left here in the first quarter. 3-0 in favor of the Scots. Hugo Alvarez set to kick off for the Scots once again. And he pounds it deep downfield. And it will be Martin that takes it inside the 5-yard line. Nifty little move there at about the 15 to escape one man, but only able to get out to the 25-yard line. So Oregon City comes out for their second offensive possession, and some early pressure from the Scott defense on the first offensive play created some havoc and created a turnover for that Scott defense.
Well, and they took advantage of it with the Alvarez field goal. I'm sure they would have preferred to get 7, but they got 3, and they lead 3-zip here early in the first quarter.
Tipton will once again line up in that pistol formation, and Thompson will take the handoff straight up the middle. Breaks an arm tackle, and out across the 25-yard line to the 35-yard gain on the play.
Good job on the defensive front to keep the gain to about 5 yards. And again, Tipton's the guy that really makes this work. He's got to read not only the backfield but the secondary, and a flag is out, an illegal procedure call as the receiver on the far right side of the field. There's that blue flag, and we figured out why they've used that blue flag, Fletcher.
Yes, it's for prostate cancer awareness. So nice gesture there, and that's why you'll see the blue hankies tonight instead of the yellow ones. So 5-yard penalty pushes the ball back close to the original line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10 for the Pioneer offense. Tipton will take the snap, hands it off to Thompson, who finds a hole right up the middle of the field. Got a chance here, and a great tackle from behind by the Scots, but not after he picks up close to 20 yards and an Oregon City first down.
Well, almost like a counter draw that time. And here's what's difficult is that once Tipton makes that little sprint action move, now you've got the corners and the linebackers dropping off into the zone. They run that little draw play. Great blocking up front by the Oregon City lineman, and a big gain for the Pioneers here to start their second series.
Tipton once again in that shotgun. Take the snap, fake the handoff this time to Mitchell Thompson, and will throw it deep down the field into double coverage. Nearly another interception there as pressure came from the Scott defensive line, and that one falls incomplete.
Well, I'm sure if Jacob had a chance, he'd like to see that over again. He actually went with a really good hard fake. The corner did bite just a little bit, but then he threw the ball kind of off his back foot, a little floater that would have been an easy interception. Fortunately for him, he out threw all the coverage.
And Jerome Massad, the 5'10", 225-pound senior, came with the pressure that time. 2nd down and 10. Another draw play there for Mitchell Thompson. This time, nothing doing, and David Douglas takes him down 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, and they had that one snuffed out right away. A really good job by the defensive lineman. And one of the things you want to see those D linemen do is keep their eyes up. So as soon as the ball gets snapped, you want to take that offensive lineman, try to stand him up so that you can see into the backfield. They did a really good job that time.
So 3rd down and long for the Pioneer offense. Tipton, a little short roll out to the right. He'll throw the screen pass back to Thompson. He's got some room to work. Cuts inside, breaks one tackle, and picks up the 1st down. So the Pioneers dig themselves out of a deep hole on 3rd and 15. Great play and great run there by Thompson.
Well, and just so well executed. They had everybody picked up downfield as a part of that screen, and you could see the minute the ball carrier caught the pass, the lineman had released downfield, had identified their man. Great downfield blocking, result of 1st down, and the drive stays alive.
Yeah, Andre Reesno was out on the corner for the Scots, but one of the linemen was able to get out to him, and that was really the lone man out on this near side. Tipton now will go under center for the first time this evening. Quick handoff right up the middle to Thompson. So the dive play picks up about 3 or 4 yards. So mixing it up a little bit here from the Pioneer offense, and they found some things that have worked here on their second drive.
Well, and that's really the whole, that's what the spread offense is predicated on, is you want to try to keep that defense off balance with a good mix of run and pass.
2nd down and 6, we'll call it, for Tipton and the Pioneers, as Thompson will split out wide to the right. Quarterback draw here from Tipton, finds a hole on that right side. He might be able to get the corner, and is eventually taken down inside the 15-yard line, but fumbled the ball. Looks like it went out of play, though, so it will remain Pioneer ball.
Well, and the officials have ruled, based on where they've spotted the ball, that in fact was a fumble, but it went out of bounds before David Douglas could recover it. So Oregon City very fortunate there that the Scots were not able to jump on the ball. And that play, Fletcher, really a result of, I think, some good scouting. Obviously, they saw something during the week on film as a part of what David Douglas was doing defensively, and knew they could run a quarterback keep for good yardage.
Oregon City trying to answer the David Douglas field goal, as this pass caught at about the 6-yard line and taken down quickly there on the far side of the field by Kyle Miller.
And so many football traditionalists figure, once you're inside the 10-yard line, that means you're going to run the ball, right?
Smash mouth football.
I'll tell you what, the way high school programs are geared anymore, they will throw the ball from the 1. They don't really care. It's part of their personality. It's part of who they are. So it doesn't really matter where they're out on the field.
Tipton hands it off to Thompson up the middle. And taken down inside the 5-yard line as he churns down to about the 3. So that will set up a 3rd down and goal for the Pioneer offense.
And at this point, I'm sure that Oregon City has told those big guys up front, all right, we're going to punch this baby in. We don't need to throw the ball. Let's get one on the ground here. Let's see.
Yep, handoff goes to Thompson up the middle, trying to churn, unable to get into the end zone. Nice tackle there. I believe it was Kyle Miller in on that one again, right at his feet, and takes him down at the 2. So decision time for second-year coach Kevin Strasser.
Well, and Thompson, had a little opening. Looked like he was going to walk in for a touchdown, but the opening closed very quickly, and rather than straight up the field, he tried to bump it out wide, and a good play by the Scots defense.
They'll go for it. Tipton will hand it off to Thompson. Is he able to get in? He is. Great point of attack from Ebukam on the Scott defense, but too much momentum from Mitchell Thompson, and the Pioneers score on their second offensive possession and are up 6-3 pending the extra point.
Well, and I'm quite sure that they feel real good about the fact that they were able to just play really physical, aggressive, smash mouth football and run the ball in 3 plays in a row. This time they get the touchdown.
Well, and when you really look at what the Pioneers were able to do as the kick is up and through from Daniel Slack to make it 7-3. Oregon City really struggled when they tried to throw the ball, with the exception of the screen pass to pick up the 3rd and 15, but they had a lot of success on the ground against the Scott defense.
Well, and Tipton has impressed me early in the game because there is an element of the offense that a lot of times at the high school level you're not counting on the quarterback to be able to read coverages quite a bit as much as the kids do at the next level. But Tipton has obviously been very well coached. Obviously, Coach Strasser playing up in the Canadian Football League, coaching up there. They throw that thing around a little bit there. So I can tell that Tipton has been coached very well. There is an element where he's reading the defensive secondary, reading the coverage, and he'll just get better as the season rolls along, but that puts a lot of pressure on the guys in the back end for David Douglas.
And how key is it for Oregon City that after they turn over the ball on their first offensive play on their first drive, they come out on their second drive and are able to bring it down the field, get a touchdown on the board? I got to imagine that for Strasser and this team, that's something that, especially with youngsters, is key to the confidence.
No question about it. And, you know, they're not going to change their personality. This is what they do offensively, and the ball is in the air a lot. It's really big to be able to answer off of a turnover and a score by your opponent, take the ball downfield and get a touchdown. Great for the momentum for the Pioneers.
7-3, the Pioneers have the lead as we are under 5 minutes left to go here in the first half. 4:31 to be exact, as Slack will kick off this one high up in the air, and it will be taken at about the 19-yard line. Brought all the way over to the near side of the field here. And it was Alapate Tuatavaki on the return for the Scots. So now David Douglas comes out for their second offensive possession. They found some success, were able to get it down inside the 10-yard line, but were stopped at that point, were able to get a field goal up on the board. What would you like to see out of David Douglas here on their second possession?
Well, it's their turn to answer a score by the Pioneers. They're inside the 20-yard line, right at the 20. Now it's just a matter of move the chains.
Patrick will hand it off to Reesno going left. Doesn't find any room, but a nifty little move there to avoid a couple defenders, hop over the pile, and pick up about 2 to 3 yards.
Well, a great run by Reesno because he kept his eyes up down the field. He was able to hesitate essentially right behind the big offensive line, found himself a little crease, and picked up 2 yards, which is better than a loss of 4 or 5. So
absolutely, especially in this offense. Patrick will take the snap, once again hand it off to Reesno, coming over to the near side, and is pushed out of bounds as he gets up past the 25-yard line to the 27. So a 4-yard gain there sets up a 3rd down and 4.
And you probably noticed Andre's very good at the, they call it the jump cut. So he gets the handoff and then is very agile, makes that jump cut move. It's very difficult to defend and gets himself outside. Again, a really nice play by Reesno.
So a key 3rd down here for the Scots, as Patrick will take the snap, look to throw. Catch is made, but it is short of the 1st down and might even be close to a loss of a yard there. So David Douglas will be forced to punt.
Well, not exactly where Patrick wanted to deliver the ball. Unfortunately, a little bit behind the receiver, and once he has to go down to get it, you're pretty much assured that you're not going to make the 1st down. As most folks know in high school football, once the knee's down, the play's done.
And Daya Dway was back to punt this one away for the Scots. and gets it off. A beautiful punt from Dway. Drives Oregon City all the way back to the 30, but it's taken there. A couple tackles broken, and Martin is up the sideline and taken down at the 44-yard line. So a nice return from Martin on a beautiful punt from Dway.
Well, and a high hanger, so some hang time, which unfortunately a lot of times when that happens, you'll almost outkick your coverage. And a good return for Oregon City gives them great field position at their own 44-yard line to start the third series with them having the football here in the first quarter.
And they've had some pretty good starting field position for the majority of the time already here in the first quarter, as they have a 7-3 lead, the Pioneers do, with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. If you're just joining us, thanks for being along here on the PlayOn Sports Network on PlayOnSports.com. Along with my analyst, Jim Patterson, I'm Fletcher Johnson. Pass comes out to the near side, and driven out of bounds is Justin Cornejo, the 5'8", 153-pound senior wide receiver for this Pioneer squad, but not after a 6-yard, make it 7-yard gain on the play. Sets up second down and 3.
Well, and the quarterback for David Douglas turned corner. Tim Patrick actually comes up and makes the tackle.
I think that's something cool about high school football. You don't see it in any level beyond this, really, but the playing both ways and kids having that opportunity. As a quick handoff goes to Mitchell Thompson, but the Scots read that one well. In on the tackle, Alapate Tuatavaki, and also Chris Walker in there on the tackle. So it'll set up a third down now for the Pioneers and 1 yard to go.
You can tell as a part of the offensive strategy tonight, they want to make sure that they continue to try to pound the ball up the middle so that David Douglas has to honor that. Keep those linebackers home.
Handoff will once again go to Thompson, and stuffed up behind the line of scrimmage. Great pressure up the field by Zach Brewer of the Scots.
Well, and of course the challenge here is that if you're going to run the football directly at a tough defense, you've got to make sure you stay on your blocks. And David Douglas' defensive front did a great job that time of simply shedding the blockers and making the play for a loss in the Pioneer backfield.
So the Pioneers in the Scots half, and on 4th and 2, head coach Kevin Strasser decides to go for it, and Tipton will take the snap, look to throw. Oh, a beautiful catch by Corneo, one-handed, and he races off to the end zone for a touchdown. Pioneers 13, Scots 3.
Well, there's a reason why during August, during the summer, you do tip drills. That was absolutely perfect. And Cornejo, what concentration. The ball actually tipped twice. He's got guys on him. He knows he might have to take a hit. So the fact that he was able to keep his concentration, bring the ball in, and then once he caught it, he's got some jets and nobody was going to catch him. Great play.
Tipped into Cornejo there for 47 yards. The extra point tacked on, and that makes it 14-3. So after a first play interception for the Oregon City offense, they respond with 2 touchdowns in the ensuing 2 drives and take the lead on the Scots 14-3.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Back live at Pioneer Memorial Stadium. Beautiful pass and catch. Jacob Tipton to Justin Cornejo for 47 yards. Has Oregon City on top of David Douglas 14-3 with 1:24 left here in the first quarter, as Daniel Slack set to kick off for the Pioneers. Sun setting on a beautiful night out here in Portland. As Slack will pop it up in the air, will be taken at about the 12-yard line. A big hit there from Oregon City. as Cale Davis brought it back for the Scots.
Cale's one of those active linebackers for the Pioneers, and on special teams, he just flies down the field and makes the big hit. Love to see that with your special teams guys. Just fearless as they fly down the field, take on blockers, and try to find the football.
Now, what's the mindset for David Douglas here? Saw some good stuff on the first series. We're unable to get the ball down the field on the second series, and here we go on the first play of the third series. Naked bootleg there from Patrick, who will throw it down the field. Catch made as his receiver gets close to the 34-yard line, and a flag comes out.
Well, obviously, David Douglas decides that they need to loosen up that defensive secondary and particularly try to keep those linebackers off balance a little bit, so they go with the naked bootleg, a little tight end draw across the field from the backside. A good play, but let's see what the officials have to say about the penalty. It looks like it's going to be against Oregon City on a personal foul.
Yep.
And more than likely, you know, one of the things they're emphasizing this year, Fletcher, is any sort of helmet-to-helmet contact. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily what they called, but that's something that the officials have talked about during the preseason about being very aware of, this helmet-to-helmet contact issue.
It's come down at every level so far, all the way up to the NFL and all the way down through Pee Wee football as well. And it's a big focus in the sport in general as Reesno takes the handoff across midfield and down to about the 47-yard line of David Douglas.
So when you say spread offense or you talk about the pistol, you know, a lot of times people think about, well, it's like the old run and shoot, it's huck and chuck, and really running the football is still a big key. It's a part of the foundation of the offense, because you've got to be able to make sure that the defense has to honor the inside the tackle plays. And so the run game, much like the University of Oregon, you think of Oregon, they throw the ball around. Well, really, the offense is predicated on running the football. That's why they have guys like, what's his name, Kenyon Barner. As a Beaver, why do I know this? Because they're so darn good.
Some guy named DeAnthony Thomas as well.
Yeah, he's pretty good too.
How much, as we have another flag here, looks like for a delay of game. Yes, it is a delay of game on David Douglas, so the ball pushed back across midfield into Scott territory at the 48. In this state at the high school level, how much do you think the offense that Chip Kelly runs down in Eugene has had an effect on what high schools do in this state?
Well, I mean, I don't know for certain that either of these coaches have visited, but, you know, college football programs do put on clinics. Coaches share this knowledge, this information, and clearly both these teams and teams across the state have seen the success that the University of Oregon has had, and they're bringing it down to this level, and it's successful here as well.
Patrick will look to throw, but pressure comes from that Pioneer front four, and he is taken down behind the line of scrimmage back at about his own 45-yard line, so a sack for the Pioneer defense there, and great work by the front four.
Well, and that's just a coverage sack because there was nobody downfield open, as Oregon City did a good job in the back half of the field to make sure receivers were covered. Reesno was open in the flat, but obviously Patrick had no time to find him.
We're at the end of quarter one. After the first 12 minutes out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium, it's Oregon City 14, David Douglas 3 here on the PlayOn Sports Network.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Back for the second quarter of action out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium as Oregon City has a 14-3 lead over David Douglas. Third down and 16 for the Scots. The screen pass, or swing pass, I should say, out to Reesno. picks up maybe a half yard, and it'll set up 4th down. So Oregon City, after giving up some yards there on David Douglas's first offensive possession, Jim, has played really well since that point.
Well, they've responded very well. That time Austin Bjorkman saw Reesno in the flat, made a great play to get out there and cover it, forced the 4th down, and now the Scots punt the football back to the Pioneers on 4th down.
Dway will punt this one away. Not quite as good as his last punt, but it gets a nice roll and nice bounce down inside the 15-yard line. And actually, it's Samson Ebukam on the kick. So good work there by Ebukam. And Oregon City now takes over just outside their own 10-yard line.
Well, and the challenge this early in the football game is that David Douglas defense now has been on the field a long time, and they have a number of guys that go 2 ways. So right here, as a part of the second quarter, let's see what sort of conditioning the Scots are in, and obviously their hope is to get their defense off the field with a 3-and-out.
Tipton will hand off to Thompson, going off the left side, out close to the 15-yard line. And that's a 4-yard gain on 1st down. So Oregon City really working that run game, has found gaps in different places in that David Douglas defensive line. And Thompson has had a nice game to this point.
Well, as a coach, play calling is all about getting into a rhythm too. And so Coach Strasser is getting, obviously some help from coaches up here in the booth, and they're getting a good feel for what sort of defense the Scots are going to be playing at any one time on the drive.
They'll fake the draw this time, throw it deep down the field for Cornejo, and he makes the tough one, Jim, but that one dropped right in the breadbasket and just was not able to haul it in.
Well, that's one of those cases where he outran coverage, no question about it, and as he's looking back for the football, it's just a matter of concentration, and unfortunately took his eye off the ball for just a second, unlike the touchdown catch where he was just zeroed in, locked on in the football. Unfortunate, because clearly if he catches it, it's probably a touchdown.
That's 6 going to the house, and a nice 85-yarder if he's able to reel it in, as it is 3rd down and 6 for the Pioneer offense. Tipton rolls to the right. He will now run it. Ooh, and a big hit. Big hit there defensively. Who was that? That was Tua Tavaki on the hit for David Douglas, and a bit of a surprise there that we didn't see one of those blue hankies.
Well, I actually think that Tipton was able to get down quick enough that Tua Tavaki was definitely, I'm not going to say headhunting, but he was definitely coming in on an aggressive hit, and Tipton very wisely got down below the tackle before there was a lot of big contact.
Picks up the 1st down at the 22-yard line. Tipton will look to throw. This one looks like it's tipped and in and out of the hands of his receiver, Matthew Odes. So I think what we saw on that long pass that Cornejo couldn't reel in, as well as ran a bit of a fake handoff there, a little play action, and because they've had success in that running game, they were able to get David Douglas to bite.
Absolutely right, and that's really the key, is that you want to, off the play action, try to freeze those defenders just a step or two so you can get somebody behind them.
Tipton under center will pitch it on the reverse to Martin. Martin able to escape Ebukam, but taken down, and a flag comes out on the play. And it was in the area of one of his wide receivers who was trying to block for him.
Well, as the wideout comes down and tries to pin that defensive end or that corner inside, a lot of times hands come out and you'll see a holding. More than likely, as they were trying to get the edge, that's what happens. And unfortunately for the receiver, the darn referee is sitting right there, so it's a pretty easy call for him to make.
So holding on Oregon City will move the ball back 10 yards.
But as we've seen, Fletcher, earlier in the game, the penalty has come, and then Oregon City's able to come back with a big play, either a run or pass. Let's see how they respond here.
So it's 2nd down and 16 now. It's a spot foul, the holding call there. as Tipton will roll out to the right once again. Looking for Martin, who makes the catch, spins away from one man, stays on his feet and drives forward out of bounds, out close to the 30-yard line.
So really what you're trying to do in a situation like that where you've got a 2nd and 16, you feel real good if you can get half of that back, because that gives you a 3rd down and some manageable yardage. And that time they actually were able to get more than half of it back, and now they've got a really manageable 3rd and a long 4 yards for a 1st down.
Antoine Lawrence in on the tackle for the Scots, and a key 3rd down for the David Douglas defense here. Tipton will take the snap from under center, hand it off to Thompson going left. And he will drive forward, take a couple of David Douglas defenders with him out past the 35 and out of bounds near the 37-yard line.
Well, and it's so difficult as a defensive player when you're playing against a team that runs you from side to side because you're covering a lot of ground. Oregon City's done a good job of getting their plays in, getting up to the line of scrimmage, and really keeping pressure on that David Douglas defense. And here again, they have a 2nd and 16, and they've now been able to convert to get their 1st down.
1st down and 10 for the Pioneers at the 37. And flag comes out. This will be a false start on the Pioneer offense. So just as soon as they dig themselves out of a hole, they somewhat dig another one for themselves.
Well, and these are the things that, you know, before you hit conference and league play, you want to get these kinds of things cleaned up, because those are kind of simple things. A wide receiver on the line of scrimmage who sees the ball and he jumps, as a coach, you're just pulling your hair out when that happens.
So 1st down and 15 now, as Tipton will take the snap, and quarterback draw here. Nearly trips, able to keep his balance and get out past the 35, close to the original line of scrimmage out at the 37. The ball will be placed inside the 36, though.
Tipton has done a really good job of being a real threat to run the ball, pass the ball. He's that triple threat: hand off, throw it, or run it. He's done a really good job of reading what the defense has given him. That time, almost a quarterback draw where he sees an opening and right up the middle of the field he goes.
We'll look to throw once again off the hands of his receiver Matthew Odes. So Odes has seen a couple targets here on this series and had the ball go through his hands on a couple different occasions.
Well, a lot of times it's because the quarterback doesn't get the ball in the right spot, but that's not the case tonight, as Tipton is putting the ball right on the numbers, and he's just had a couple guys with the dropsies.
So that'll set up a 3rd down and 11 for this Oregon City offense.
That is an official football term, dropsies?
Dropsies?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
A leak deep down the field once again, Tipton will. Looking for Odes, and this time overthrows Odes, who had a step on the defender, and it will once again be 4th down, and this time it looks like Kevin Strasser will decide to send the punt team out.
Well, I think this is one of the things that's really created a lot of excitement for Oregon City football, is they are not afraid to throw the ball down the field. They like to stretch the field and put pressure on the defense, and they've done a really good job tonight, again, of getting into a rhythm, getting into a balance. That time, unfortunately, I think penalties probably got the best of them, at least on that series.
And Jacob Tipton is back to punt. He will send this one off, and fair catch called for at the 25-yard line by Reesno. So David Douglas will take over, trailing 14-3, 8 minutes and 16 seconds left in the 2nd quarter.
So David Douglas now, really, I think this is a key series, because they've been able to stop Oregon City defensively, and now they've got to come up with their own answer here. And they haven't quite gotten into that rhythm that Oregon City has. So this is a big drive, a key drive for David Douglas. They certainly would like to put some points on the board here, as they're down by 11 points, 2nd quarter.
As we keep you updated on some other scores around the state as well, Central Catholic and Lake Oswego facing off tonight. That's a top 10 matchup. Lake Oswego up 6-0 early in the 2nd quarter, as Patrick will now look down the field in the direction of one of his receivers, Kyle Miller, I believe that is. But in and out of his hands, a little high from Patrick. and it'll be second down.
Well, the receiver was open. I mean, he had beat the defensive back with the little inside slant route down the field about 8 yards, and the ball just wasn't in the right spot. But again, wide receiver was wide open. And again, that's part of what David Douglas will do is, they're going to throw a lot on first down, second down, third down.
Well, Patrick this time will hand off to the running back, Ebukam. And Ebukam finds a nice hole off of that right side and out for enough for a first down past the 35-yard line.
Well, and a really good job by Ebukam of just physical football. He just sticks his nose down. He's running north to south. Good job of blocking up front. Now David Douglas right back to the line of scrimmage to get things going quickly after the first down.
We saw Oregon City shuffling a few players off as Ebukam will take the handoff again and get out close to the 40-yard line. But that's something, too, that you can really use to your advantage as an offense if you are not subbing anybody in and out, trying to wear down that defense quicker. But you have to be able to pick up yards if you want to do that.
And you can help defensively because you're keeping specialists off the field. They can't get guys in and out as the defensive coordinator would want to.
Patrick will drop back to pass this time, looks and will throw deep down the field over the head of his intended target, Kyle Patterson.
And
so we've seen both teams have some good looks here.
No question about that. Patrick was kicking himself because he knew he had the receiver open again. And those are things, like we talked about in the pregame, it takes a lot of timing on routes between quarterback and receiver. They'll clean those things up as they play along in the year.
3rd down and 8. Patrick will pass it over to the left-hand side. A beautiful catch made right on the sideline by Hunter Davis, the 5'11", 170-pound sophomore, one of the younger contributors on this team. And nice work there to get beyond the sticks and come back and get the ball.
I was going to say the same thing. You know, one of the real important things as a wide receiver is in situations where you need 7-8 yards, you've got to drive the defensive back at least 10 yards down the field. He did a nice job of coming back, knowing where he needed to get first down yardage.
Handoff comes to Reesno, is able to escape one man, but the defensive pressure comes from Oregon City by Cale Davis, and he's taken down about 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage, so a big loss there for the Scots on first down.
Well, that's not the first time that we've called Cale Davis's name. He's obviously a very aggressive special teams player, but as a linebacker, very active, and he's done a great job of finding the football and flying to it, putting hats on the running back.
About 6 minutes and 43 seconds to go on the clock running here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium with Oregon City on top. David Douglas's pass there. Reesno picks it up. A little floater and a good thing, too, because Oregon City had a man there. So what initially might not have looked like the most beautiful pass from Patrick was what they needed.
Well, and they ran it to the short side of the field, and fortunately the ball wasn't intercepted. That's a really difficult, you'd probably want to run some sort of little flare pass like that to the wide side of the field, but I think Coach Wood was hoping that if they ran it to the boundary, maybe they'd catch the defense off guard just a little bit, but the Pioneers did a good job in the secondary to come up and make that play.
Patrick this time another swing pass, this time out to Ebukam. And a big hit made there on the play by Jackson Peters at about midfield. And Ebukam falls forward, but only to about the 48-yard line, and it's 4th down and 8.
And Ebukam is 6'2", 230 pounds. He's not the easiest guy to bring down. And that was quite a collision as a great defensive play was made there by Oregon City to force that 4th down.
So Ebukam out to punt this one away for the Scots. He will send it away, and Martin is back deep. No chance to return this one, though, as it will roll down inside the 15-yard line, close to the 10, and will be picked up there. So with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left here in the first half, it's Oregon City 14 and David Douglas 3. And Jim, it's a big question that I know a lot of fans, no matter what level they're watching at, ask, but we saw Oregon City David Douglas run that swing pass out to the near side of the field, the short side of the field. A lot of fans go, why are you running that stuff to the short side of the field when you have the other side with all that room to work with?
Yeah, and it's just, again, you're hoping that you can run a play to the weak side and just catch the defense and maybe have them outnumbered.
Thompson gets the handoff up the middle, and we'll get out close to the 15-yard line and just beyond it. So about 4 yards on first down.
And there isn't a better time of year than right now.
Absolutely.
High school football and PlayOn Sports. What a great concept to be able to stream live around the world high school football games from any place in the United States.
You can find all your high school sports on PlayOnSports.com as Thompson will take that handoff and move up close to the 20-yard line and just beyond it. So it'll be close to a first down for the Oregon City offense. But it will be a third down and 1 as we are now under 5 minutes left to play here in the first half. And it is pretty cool. I've taken an opportunity to look at some of the other high school games from around the country here on PlayOnSports.com, and especially with the way high school sports are growing, it's a cool opportunity as Thompson is able to pick up the first down off the left-hand side to watch sports in other states and watch football in other states to see how it compares or just to see somewhere else what's going on in other places.
Well, and the other thing that, a lot of people don't think about, but what a great way for programs at the next level, colleges, to be able to actually see players. The access to high school football players now, unprecedented. And if you're looking for good players, you know what? They're going to find you no matter where you play.
As Martin makes the catch and is thrown down as he gets up close to the 30-yard line.
Now, if I'm a defensive coordinator for David Douglas, I feel like right now Coach Strasser is setting me up for something big. I mean, I feel like something down the field is coming up because they've just kind of been picking at the edges, kind of trying to run the ball up the middle of the field. But I got a feeling something big's coming.
Second down and 5. The handoff will go to Mitchell Thompson. Finds a hole into the secondary and taken down at about the 40-yard line. And this is one of those key times in the game, Jim. 3 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in the first half. The Pioneers already up 14-3. This is one of those moments where they could either really take control of this game or David Douglas could try and keep themselves in it as they go into the break.
And see, this is where the chess match takes place between coaches because I'm thinking something big's going to happen, so I drop my linebackers just a little bit thinking something's coming over the middle, and boom, 2nd and 5, they hit me with a run play and gain 8 yards. I lose on that one.
Tipton will take the snap, look to throw. Will go deep down the field, once again looking for Cornejo. Not in the area. Kyle Miller will pick it off inside his own 30-yard line, bring it back out past the 44. A flag down on the play, though, so we'll have to check the referee's call.
Well, I was one play late, so they did try to go for the home run play. Again, the ball was a little bit underthrown, but Cornejo actually ran the little post corner route and Tipton threw the football to the middle of the field, so they were crossed up on the play. Easy interception for David Douglas. Now the question is, what was the penalty? They're talking to David Douglas as if there may have been some sort of illegal procedure on the play. And I think David Douglas is going to keep the football after the interception.
They will keep the football. The penalty is declined by David Douglas. The flag came out right at the snap.
Yeah.
So that was what the question was really about, but it is on Oregon City. David Douglas will decline and take over, so now it's up to David Douglas to try and get something going on offense, and they really haven't been able to do that since their first offensive possession.
Well, and this is probably the best field position they've had since that first possession where they picked off a pass by Oregon City and were able to convert to 3 points. And with 3 minutes left to go in the quarter, again, every time David Douglas gets the football, this is big because they need to answer with a score.
Patrick will take the snap, look to throw the ball down the field. He's got a receiver open, and he makes the catch down inside the 25-yard line. A big grab there for the Scots, and they are in business.
Well, and just a great play by Patrick because as he runs to the line of scrimmage, the question is he going to get rid of the ball before he crosses the line of scrimmage? That's a penalty that comes with a loss of down. but he made a great throw, a great catch. The defensive back never looked to turn to see the football. Had that ball not been caught, I suspect there may have been a pass interference, but David Douglas with a big play, and now they're inside Pioneer territory.
Hunter Davis with the reception, and Reesno will get the handoff now, trying to spread it wide to the right. But great pursuit by the Oregon City defense in maintaining their gaps. They're able to bring them down behind the line of scrimmage.
And side to side, Oregon City's defense has been just really terrific because they're very active. Their linebackers are quick. Once they identify where the football is, they're just flying to it. And those kind of guys are really tough to get a hat on and try to keep them out of the backfield. I would just run right at them if I was going to do anything, because I think side to side right now, Oregon City wins.
2nd down and 15 as Patrick avoids the pressure. Will throw it deep downfield again. You got to believe the flag will come out there, and it does, as his receiver had a step on the defender. Kyle Miller was down there.
We've actually got a couple penalty flags. We've got one in the backfield at the 40-yard line, and then the one downfield for the pass interference. So the question here, will we have offsetting penalties? It kind of came in the area over there where I wasn't sure there was a late hit on the quarterback, but it also could have been a holding penalty because it came from the white hat. So they're going to talk about this, and they may be trying to determine which penalty does David Douglas actually get the best benefit from.
And they are talking to David Douglas.
Yep.
So it looks like both of these penalties likely on the Pioneers pending the official signal.
See, now, who said you couldn't officiate a game from the stands?
Right?
I mean, so far, so good, right?
We've had some pretty good luck so far tonight. Sure enough, they'll throw some sort of crazy one our way.
So there's the pass interference penalty.
And they won't even signal the other one.
Yeah.
As David Douglas will accept the pass interference, and that moves the ball down inside the red zone of Oregon City to the 16-yard line. Make it the 14.
So typically the official on two penalties is going to tell us which one was declined, just so we would have known. My guess is it was probably some sort of
roughing
late
the
hit or
passer.
rough after the play.
2 minutes, 8 seconds left here before halftime. David Douglas threatening down 14-3. Reesno will take the handoff and pick up about 1.5 yards.
So no problem here. They can take their time because they have 3 timeouts, and it's going to be really important that they get a score here. So Coach Wood is going to make sure that everybody's on the same page. There's no reason to rush. If they need to take a timeout to get everybody together, they've got 3.
Patrick will take the snap and drop it off for Reesno, who drops that one. You got the sense that he was looking down the field before he had the ball in his hands.
For no apparent reason, no, he dropped it. It was like throwing up a softball, right?
Yep. Well, you got the sense, too, that he knew that there was no one around him, and he wanted to find where that next defender was going to be.
Sometimes that's the hardest thing. I mean, I think he knew that he had a defender that he would have to beat one-on-one. The question was, where was he at? And he took his eye off the ball.
Clock stopped at 1:31, 3rd down and 8 for the Scott offense. Patrick will look to throw the fade route down to Miller, and he is there. Touchdown, Patrick to Miller. Pass and catch between those two Scott players, and they get on the board with 1:26 left before the half.
Well, and an absolutely beautiful throw and a great route by the wide receiver, who really did a great job of separating himself as he went to that little post corner route, and the ball was right on the money. Wide receiver was open by 5 yards. Great play.
He was on the wider side of the field, but
Yep.
that's something that you see wide receivers, especially young wide receivers, have trouble with sometimes, is making sure they leave themselves enough room to separate further out. As the extra point is up and through from Hugo Alvarez. So with 1:26 left in the first half, David Douglas scores for the first time since their first offensive possession and pull within 4 of the Pioneers.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense. We're going to come at you.
One shot at this.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Back live at Pioneer Stadium, David Douglas scores most recently to make it 14-10. They trail the Oregon City Pioneers at Pioneer Stadium as Hugo Alvarez kicks this one off down to Nick Martin, who will take it at the 10-yard line. And out past the 25-yard line goes Martin. So a minute 20 left here in the first half. You're up 14-10. If you're Kevin Strasser, what are you thinking here, Jim?
Well, they're in their 2-minute drill. I mean, they practice that at the high school level. They've got a minute and 20 left. Good field position, ball at the 27-yard line. So now they're going to go. They've got 3 timeouts. They can work the sidelines. They can run the football a couple times. But they're in their 2-minute drill right now and trying to get some points on the board before the end of the half.
Tipton has 4 wide receivers to work with. The draw handoff will go to Mitchell Thompson, find some room up the middle of the field into the secondary and out past the 40-yard line to about the 44 goes Mitchell Thompson. So he's found a lot of room here in the first half, and I would have to imagine that Coach Wood and the David Douglas Scots will be addressing that at halftime.
Well, and it's a little draw counter, so as they sprint right, they hand the ball off. Nice little cutback by the running back.
Flag will come out here. It looks like that left side of the offensive line moved a bit early.
Well, interestingly enough, Oregon City lined up to try to get into the hurry-up offense. And I'm not so sure that they didn't hurry up so much that they fooled their own guys, and they did. That's illegal procedure against the Pioneers.
So the 5-yard penalty pushes the ball back inside Oregon City's 40-yard line. And the clock will roll. We are under a minute and 10 seconds left to go here in the first half with Oregon City leading 14-10. Tipton will pump fake. This one looks like to be a bit of miscommunication between Tipton and his receiver Matthew Oates.
Well, I'm not so sure. I think what they had on there was a stop-and-go route. So Tipton had the ball fake. You could see the wide receiver down here on the bottom of the screen. Number 8 was Matthew Oates. So he did the little stop route. Unfortunately, Tipton airmailed it, threw it over everybody. So again, that's a timing play because you've got to get the fake associated with the wide receiver doing the little stop, then the go.
Second down and 15 for the Oregon City offense. Quick throw out this time to Oates, who makes the catch out past midfield down to about the 48, but kept in play. And Oregon City will use one of their 3 timeouts here in the first half. So Oregon City's got the ball across midfield. Still up 4 in this football game, 14-10 with under a minute to go.
So now one of the things that oftentimes will frustrate the average fan is in this situation, you're on defense and you've got your corners now playing 8 to 10 yards off the ball. Well, you're leaving that hole, just like we saw in that last play, where the sidelines are wide open. You're essentially giving them 10 yards. You're saying, go ahead and take that. And they wind up doing that until they get down the field inside scoring territory, and folks are really kind of confused about that. But here's the problem. If you bring guys up into press coverage at this point in the game on the field, now you get hit with a big hitter, and, you know, what have you really gained? So it really is, again, I talked about it. It's a chess match. You've got to figure out the right defensive coverage based on what you think the guy across the field is likely to call. So that's why they're going to play those corners off, and you can see right now they're not in a bump situation. They're playing well off the ball with the corners 10 yards off the receiver.
Tipton this time will hand it off to Thompson up the middle. He was able to pick up the first down, so the clock will stop as the chains move, and Oregon City will come quickly to the line.
So So the plan here will be they're going to run a play. You're going to get an incompletion, a run play, and then a timeout.
And Tipton will run the quarterback draw out to the far side. Takes on one tackler, gets down to the 30, enough for the first down, so the clock will stop again as the chains move. 30 seconds left to go here in the first half.
Well, and Tipton not typically looking like a running quarterback, because I don't know if you saw it, but he puts his shoulder down and actually delivers a blow to the defensive back as he comes up to try to make the tackle.
And Oregon City will call their second timeout after Tipton picks up that first down. So one timeout left for the Pioneers here with 30 seconds left in the first half and leading 14-10.
And Fletcher, I like that. I like the fact that even though they could have gone ahead and lined up and run the play, they've got 30 seconds. And at this point, what you want is to make sure everybody understands what we're going to do for the next 2 plays. So this timeout is not just about this next play coming up, but they're also going to be talking about what are we going to run if we complete the pass. We've got 3 yards to go for a first down. We're going to rush to the line of scrimmage, and they're calling that play right now. So I think a really good use of timeouts and good strategy there on the part of Oregon City coaches.
And this, we talked about the David Douglas drive being key for the Scots to feel like they had some momentum. If Oregon City can score here, they take all the momentum into halftime.
No question.
Tipton drops and looks right. He'll throw out to Martin. He finds his man, and he gets down to the 23-yard line. Reesno in on the tackle for the Scots, along with a couple other Scott defenders. And the clock running, 15 seconds left in the first half, and Oregon City hustling to the line. And the Pioneers will have to burn their third and final timeout with 11 seconds left.
Well, I think it's pretty clear they had a second play ready to go. It took them a little bit longer to get the line of scrimmage than Coach Strasser liked. And it's pretty obvious that the plan was to try to get the ball maybe to the middle of the field so that they can make a field goal attempt after taking maybe one shot. But now with 11 seconds to go, my guess is you might be able to take one shot to the end zone. That's a little bit risky. They've now exhausted the timeout, so they're not really going to be able to keep the ball in play anywhere and try to set up for a field goal. So it's a shot to the end zone here, likely, one time. And then maybe if it's an incomplete pass, they try to run the field goal kicker out. Even if they do that, at this distance, it's probably well over a 40-yard field goal.
And with the ball down at the 23-yard line, is there any possibility they try and pick up 10 and get out of bounds near the 10-yard line to give themselves a little bit shorter for that last play? Or do you think that they try and get something towards the end zone, and if not, try the field goal?
I think they're going to go the end zone with one play here and then see what happens.
Oh, a great defensive play there by the David Douglas safety, Kyle Miller, who caught the touchdown pass down on the other end. 7 seconds left, so only 4 seconds off the clock there for the Pioneers now. 3rd down and 3 from the 23-yard line for Oregon City. So now with 7 seconds here, this is really testing the limits of the amount of time you have.
Well, they tried to run a little seam route, so they brought the slot receiver, run him right up the seam. Good play by the safety to knock the ball away. And again, it's 3rd down. Oregon City's going to try to get at least one more shot. They probably could get 2 plays in if they try to go to the end zone before the end of the half.
And the pass complete to Odes, but tackled in the middle of the field. And the first half comes to an end. So after 2 quarters of play out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium, it's 14-10 in favor of Oregon City over the David Douglas Scots. Coming up at halftime, the Oregon City Jets dance team will be back with the call of the second half about 15 minutes from now here on the PlayOn Sports Network on PlayOnSports.com.
match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
.3:16 left to go in this ball game. I formation, 3rd and 3 from the 45 of the Wolverines. And this time, holy cow! Dion almost hands it to the Westview player. He's going to run this to the 5-10. Touchdown, Wolverines! How did that happen? That was
Snyder.
Holy cow! He was in the backfield before the running back could even get the handoff. He took the handoff from
He
Dion.
took the ball right out of Dion's hands and just
Holy cow!
can't say I've seen that one very often.
Snyder comes shooting in from the A-gap. I think Dion froze when he saw him. He's ready to hand off to his running back. He froze when he saw him and just let him have the ball. 12 seconds to go.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop.
5, 4, 3, 2. Get the snap off. Last play of the game. Brewster rolls right. Gets away from 2 sacks. Dons win. Sack at the 20-yard line. What a game.
And number 40, Lucas Zinder with the game-saving sack. And there is heartbreak on one sideline and a jubilation on another.
Offset eye for the Grizzlies as Keeney takes it under center. They'll send a man in motion, pitch back to Bird on the sweep. Bird finds a seam. He might go, folks. 20, 15, 10. Drags a tackler. Touchdown! Bird goes 38 yards for the touchdown on the sweep. One more snap is all it's going to take, and there you have it, folks. Your 2011 Division I Sac Joaquin section champions, the Granite Bay Grizzlies, as they defeat Pleasant Grove 30-24.
Jacqueline Williamson. Her serve is over. Dug by Holt. Giblin going back to Holt near side. Cut shot. Kept alive. Back in one by Cathedral. And this one is out as Caston on Hill sends it wide. And the Cathedral Dons have won the title 16-14 in Game 5.
Thomas with the ball, swings it out to Norris. Cameron Taylor tried to block that one away. Norris with a strong take, blocked by B.J. Anya. Huge block. Robinson leading the break the other way, gets it to Grant. Slam dunk Jeremy Grant off the feed from James Robinson. What a play by the Stag.
Runner at third is Chavez. 8-2 the score. Bottom of the 7th. The 1-2. Popped in the air. This should do it. Cortopassi says it's mine. Now he's fading on it. And he can't make the catch, but Gaff comes in from center field and does. Congratulations to the St. Mary's Rams, a three-peat. They win it 8-2 against Franklin to take the series 2-0.
But this is time to run an offensive set that you've done all through the season in practice.
Yeah. And you also, you get it to your hottest player right now, just like they're getting it to Eichhorst right here. He's going to try to create some space, find somebody on the backside that's open.
Eichhorst flush out to the right. Oh, breaks free of a player. Eichhorst on his own, shoots and scores, bounces a shot home. Coos can't handle the shot. Eichhorst takes off the shirt and the helmet. And how about that? Alex called it. Eichhorst, after sustaining the injury in the third quarter of play, has scored the game winner. with 22 seconds gone in the overtime period. Dog pile on the field. Marin Academy take it. A fantastic finish to this game. And, well, I hope his other ankle isn't hurting after this.
Hancock to his immediate left.
And welcome back to Pioneer Memorial Stadium as we get you set for the second half of action between the Oregon City Pioneers and the David Douglas Scots. Pioneers leading the Scots 14-10 at the break here on the PlayOn Sports Network. If you're looking for us, you found us. We appreciate you having us along on a Friday evening. Along with my analyst Jim Patterson, I'm Fletcher Johnson. If you're also looking for more action in the state, you can go to OSAA.tv. You'll find the link to PlayOn Sports coverage there, as PlayOnSports.com gives you the national outlook, whereas OSAA.tv, obviously given the name, gives you your specific Oregon coverage. And we carry a couple different games around the state at least each Friday night, so make sure you check that out at OSAA.tv. And then you can go back if you missed any of the action. You can go back anytime and check out a week later. I actually went back and looked at some of the Oregon high school games from last Friday this morning, so they're always available to you on PlayOnSports.com as well. So Oregon City will kick off here to start the second half. They are wearing red tops with the black sleeves and black shorts and red helmets as well. David Douglas also in the red helmets, but white shirts, I should say, and silver pants. And Jim, as we get set for the second half of action, we saw a really back and forth first half in which both offenses showed moments of that explosiveness that you want to see, but the defenses played well as well.
Well, the other thing that strikes me is David Douglas did not really have the ball offensively that much, and they only find themselves down 4 at halftime. So you could tell as they came out of the half, they were excited, they're fired up. The other thing, Fletcher, this is a great crowd at Oregon City. You've got folks in the end zones on both the north and south end, and a good crowd, both the home crowd from Oregon City, great turnout from David Douglas's supporters. So again, I can't think of a better place to be on a Friday evening in Oregon in September than a high school football field. And the fact that it's on PlayOn Sports, you can find it at OSAA.tv. We talked about this earlier in the broadcast. The access to high school football is unprecedented now, and it's really very exciting and a pleasure to be able to be with you and our crew here tonight, working the games, bringing high school football to fans from all over the state of Oregon and all across the United States.
Absolutely, because you look at what this state has been able to do recently and the talent that has been produced, whether it be a big-name Colt Lyerl or even some of the other guys as Stephen Long out of the state at Lake Oswego last year. It's things like this and the ability for coaches around the country, whether they be in Texas or New York or Minnesota, to be able to tune in and see these games and see these kids. The exposure for the kids, let alone the coaches, to be able to see them is so huge as well, with the way that this state has really grown in the football sense. There was great football tradition here, but the talent produced over the course of the last 5 years probably is unmatched over any point in history.
Well, and really you can attribute that to communities with great youth football programs. They start them very young. Oregon City, part of the TVYFL here in the metro area, they've had very, very good youth programs. And head coaches, if they're involved with their staff, which, most of these coaches that are successful, they'll get down into the youth leagues and they start to get those kids to run the offense. And I can tell you, as a 4th, 5th, 6th grader, I would have loved to have played and thought that maybe they were going to throw the ball around a little bit, because that's typically not what they've done at that level. So it's just a great time, really, to be a part of high school sports, and particularly high school football. Just love this time of year and love the game.
Couldn't agree more. I was a wide receiver at Gresham High School back in the early part of the 2000s, and we ran the wishbone. So I did not see the ball much my way when I was playing.
That's interesting, because back in 1979 and 80, I was a wishbone quarterback.
There you
How about
go.
that?
Hey, you saw the ball a lot more than I did then.
Yeah, I did, every snap. Unfortunately, those days of wishbone football are long gone.
Daniel Slack to kick off for the Pioneers, and it will be Miller who takes it around the 14-yard line. And check that. Not Miller. Or is it? Not 100% sure. It was Durbin on the return. Brian Durbin brought it back for the Scots out past the 30-yard line. What'd you think of quarterback Tim Patrick's performance in the first half,
Well,
Jim?
I thought he was very solid, particularly in the last drive where he led his team downfield to a touchdown. He's a very accurate passer. He's had a couple situations where receivers have dropped balls, but I'm very impressed, and I can see why they've settled on Patrick as their quarterback for the first part of the season.
Bit of a broken play on their first offensive play of the second half, but Patrick able to turn nothing into something as he gets the ball up to the 35-yard line.
And I think we ought to give a shout-out to a spotter here, because one of the things that's difficult is that David Douglas has got those white jerseys, and then they've got a light green number. And it's a little difficult to pick those things out, even though I've got my glasses on.
Yeah, I don't think they think about us broadcasters when they're deciding what to wear.
No, probably not.
Reesno takes the handoff up close to the 40-yard line. It'll set up a third down and short for the Scots. 14-10 they trail here as we roll under 11 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
And this is really a statement series right here. David Douglas knew they were going to get the football to start the second half. They put themselves in a good spot here with third and short for a first down.
Handoff will go up the middle once again to Reesno, and he will get enough for the first down. So a first down for the Scots as they move the ball out past their 40-yard line.
Well, that's a good start. Run the football, mix in the pass. You know, one of the things you want to try to do, because Oregon City does have those active linebackers, is you want to make sure that you continue to run the football, I think, right at them, because clearly on the perimeter, their quickness has really kind of shut down any perimeter game that David Douglas has tried at this point in the game.
We did really see that, and a bunch of men up towards the line of scrimmage for the Pioneers. Be interesting to see what the call is here as to whether Oregon City was offsides when David Douglas jumped.
Well, and clearly the coaches for David Douglas were making sure that the line judge on this side of the field recognized that somebody jumped into the neutral zone. The line judge at this side did indicate an offsides against Oregon City, which caused the tight end for David Douglas to jump. So David Douglas was correct. It wasn't offsides, and they get the benefit of the 5-yard penalty.
So now 1st and 5 for the Scots. Once again, you see those blue penalty flags donated by OHSU, Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, so you'll see those all month long here in the state of Oregon. Reesno doesn't find much room to work with and will be taken down way back behind the line of scrimmage. And once again, running to that short side of the field, Jim.
Well, and that's one of the things that I certainly recognize and understand why you want to try to continue to run things to the perimeter, but Oregon City pursues the football so well. I think you're better to just try to go hat on hat, run directly at them, let the running backs pick and choose the gaps in the areas, because anything to the outside so far this evening really has not been very effective.
Patrick will take the snap and look to throw, drop it off for Reesno out of the backfield. Puts on the Jets. Nifty little move there to get up close to the 45-yard line, get back beyond the original line of scrimmage, and set up a much more manageable third down at about 7 yards.
Well, and Andre Reesno, we've called his name quite a bit, but I think we need to give him some credit for just how good a running back he is, especially in space. You've mentioned a couple times where he's made a nifty move. He really utilizes that jump cut very well, and one of the things that I can tell is his downfield vision is very good. Plus, he's got some good speed, good quickness, and he's a strong running back. Good job so far by Reesno.
So 3rd down and 8 yards to go as Patrick will roll out to the left. Look down the field, short hops his receiver, Kyle Miller. So 4th down now, and David Douglas will be forced to punt. So a good stop there for the Pioneer defense.
And David Douglas not wanting to take any chances, because at this point in the game, it's really a field position type of battle. So they'll be satisfied to go ahead on 4th down here, punt the football, and hope that their defense now will rise to the occasion and get a 3 and out as well.
Ebukam out to punt, and Martin standing back right around his 20-yard line. Flag down on the play as Martin will have no shot to return this one, and it will bounce and be picked up at the 32-yard line by Nick Roberts. We will go back and check the penalty, though. Came out right as the ball was snapped.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure what the call will be. They are going to talk to Oregon City. So this situation probably is going to be a choice of, do you want us to punt the football again? I think Coach Strasser over on the far sideline has indicated that whatever the penalty is, let's decline it. Let's go ahead, take the football, strap it up, and start our first series of the second half.
And as Jacob Tipton and the Oregon City offense come out, they did some good things, but this could be a much bigger lead for them as they did miss some opportunities throughout the course of the first half.
And you must respect, as you see the wide side of the field, respect the speed of number 2, Cornejo, who scored a touchdown in the first half after making a great catch.
One-on-one coverage on the outside, but Thompson gets the handoff, gets the corner. He might be gone across the 50. One man to beat, and he's there. Touchdown, Mitchell Thompson, and just like that, Oregon City has extended their lead out 20-10 pending the extra point.
Well, and we did a little shout out for Cornejo, and guess what? He got the key block that really sprung the back to the outside. A great job by Mitchell Thompson to read that block from Cornejo out on the corner. And once he got outside, nobody was going to catch him. Downfield, Matthew Odes had an opportunity. He had a guy in his sights, but recognized, I don't need to throw that block, as Mitchell took it in for the score. Great play, and that's one of the reasons why they said, we'll decline the penalty and take the ball.
Clay Venezuela Reese with the hold, and Slack puts it up and through. So Oregon City with 8 minutes and 34 seconds left in the third quarter, out to a 21-10 lead on David Douglas.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense. We're going to come at you.
One shot.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Back at Pioneer Memorial Stadium, the run by Mitchell Thompson has extended the lead for the Oregon City Pioneers 21-10 over the David Douglas Scots. And one of the things, Jim, I really noticed throughout the course of the first half and on that run especially is when Mitchell Thompson hit the hole, he was going 100 miles an hour.
Well, and once he gets up to speed, he's difficult to catch. There has not been a lot of folks who've been able to take him down in the defensive secondary, and just a great run off a great block by Cornejo.
Slack's kickoff will be taken inside the 10-yard line and brought out right to about the 30. So David Douglas once again will start in decent field position, as once again on the return was Brian Durbin. So talk a little bit about what the challenges that this pistol offense that David Douglas presents. Oregon City has stayed very controlled in the way they've tried to defend it.
Well, the defensive secondary has done a great job in their man and zone defense, and it's made it difficult for Patrick to find open guys. So this is why Reesno, the ball carrier here, has packed the pigskin so many times. He's been really their most effective weapon outside of the drive down here at the end of the second quarter where they got the score.
As Reesno brings it out past the 38-yard line, a good pickup on first down. But again, you see the pursuit of Oregon State side to side, or Oregon City, I should say, side to side. They've done a good job protecting the sidelines, and even though David Douglas is able to pick up 8 there, you see the speed of the Pioneers. Handoff will go to Reesno, finds a big hole up the right-hand side, will cut outside, stays on his feet, and he takes it out of bounds down inside the 30 to the 25-yard line.
And I don't think there is any question he is a very gifted running back. As you could see, he did a little start and stop move 35 yards down the field. I mean, he has great presence and awareness on the football field. He took a counter play basically inside the tackle, was able to bump it outside, and then just make it a track meet down the sideline. Very gifted runner in Reesno, and the more they get him the football, I think the better off they're going to be.
So David Douglas looking to answer Oregon City's score on their second possession of the second half, threatening inside the 30-yard line of the Pioneers. Bit of a delayed handoff will go up the middle to Ebukam. Nothing there, though, sniffed out by the Oregon City defense.
Well, I'm not quite sure that David Douglas was necessarily happy, the coaches on the sidelines, with the call. Reesno had actually come off the field as a result of the long run. Ebukam came in as the substitute, and I'm not quite sure that they were all on the same page with the personnel or the play that got called. So now they've got a second down and they've lost 4 yards. Real important for them to get their momentum back. And really, you don't want to see, if you're David Douglas, you don't want to see these opportunities for for Oregon City to catch their wind on defense either.
As Reesno's back in the game, Patrick will look down the center of the field. Dangerous pass goes in and out of the hands of his receiver. So what started off so well getting down inside the 30-yard line of Oregon City, now they're in a 3rd and 15 situation, and as much as penalties can be drive killers, losses on first down can be as well.
Well, there's no doubt about that. You can kind of sense right now, at least I've got the sense, that David Douglas is just not quite sure how they want to attack Oregon City. And they just need to get themselves settled down just a little bit and execute the offense.
One-on-one coverage out on the outside on Kyle Miller, and he gets the catch down inside the 5-yard line. A big pickup on 3rd and 15, and it's 1st and goal for the Scots.
Well, and how impressive was it of Tim Patrick, who stayed in the pocket? He got a lick. I mean, he had a hit put on him just as he released the football, but he stood in the pocket and was able to get the ball down the middle of the field. So David Douglas is now knocking on the door here in the 3rd quarter, trying to put some points on the board.
And 1-on-1 coverage on Kyle Miller out there far right. Once again, handoff will go to Reesno up the middle. And he stops short of the goal line. And it'll be 2nd down and goal from the 1. 6.5 minutes left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Oregon City leading 21-10, but David Douglas threatening.
Well, and if you're David Douglas, you want to keep it close. They need to get a touchdown here because the X factor could be Hugo Alvarez, the place kicker, field goal kicker for David Douglas, who's got range from 40.
Reesno pounds it in on the right-hand side. So after Mitchell Thompson takes it to the house for Oregon City, David Douglas answers with a touchdown of their own, and they cut the lead to 5.
Well, and a good answer that it was for David Douglas. Oregon City with the home crowd, you don't want them to get so much momentum that you can't come back. So I'm very impressed that David Douglas was able to take the football, march it down the field, and get the touchdown.
And head coach Dan Wood looks like he's considering going for 2 here, as if they did get the 2-point conversion, they will only be down 3. What do you think of the possible decision here?
Well, you know, you take the card out. That card tells you when you go for 2, when you don't go for 2. And I think at this point, they're going to go for 1. I think they're going to take the point. It doesn't surprise me. There's 6 minutes left to go in the 3rd quarter. A lot of football left to play. And you would hate to think that if you made the wrong decision here and it cost you in the end, you'll be questioning that decision the whole time. So I think it's good here to go ahead and take the points with this much football left to play.
Alvarez comes out, and for what it's worth, the quarterback, Tim Patrick, is the holder. So fakes are not out of the question tonight, at least when it comes to the David Douglas Scots. Snap is good. The kick is up and through. Whistle was blown, but the extra point is good. So with 6 minutes and 13 seconds left here in the 3rd quarter, Oregon City leads David Douglas 21-17 here on the PlayOn Sports Network. So our 2 matchups coming up next week here in the state. Century facing off against Tigard. And then I will be down at West Lynn as they take on South Salem, the Saxons. So that's what you can look forward to next week. Century and Tigard. Tigard, one of the top teams in the state at the 6A level. Century absolutely destroying Hillsborough tonight. Not necessarily a huge surprise. As we look at some of the other scores as well around the state, at the 5A ranks, West Albany leads Crescent Valley 23-0. Lake Ridge is on top of Aloha 34-21 with 5:23 left in the second quarter.
That's a surprise.
That is a bit of a surprise there. And efforting also a score from Central Catholic and Lake Oswego. But we will get you those throughout the course of the action here tonight as we get you set for the kickoff. West Lynn is leading Barlow 22-10.
5A score from Sherwood, number 1 ranked 5A Sherwood, 14-14 tie at halftime with Hermiston.
Interesting there. There's Lake Oswego up 20-13 on Central Catholic with 7 minutes left in the third quarter. So Alvarez will kick off, and Martin will take it inside his 10. Out past the 20. And brings it out near the 30-yard line as he's taken down there. So out comes Jacob Tipton, and Mitchell Thompson, the running back, made quick work of Oregon City's last drive as he took it to the house.
Yeah, and I want to say, Nick Martin, I love the way he returns kicks. I mean, he just gets his nose right up the field. There's no hesitation. He understands the importance of getting to that wall, get to those blockers, and then try to find that seam to break it open. He's done a really nice job throughout the course of the game on kick returns.
And that's absolutely key on the kick returns. You can't dawdle around. The holes are there, and you have to trust that the holes will be there when you get there. This handoff goes to Thompson, taken down behind the line of scrimmage, so positive play there for the Scott defense after Mitchell Thompson took it to the house on what looked like a very similar play the last time he got the handoff.
I think Anthony Brown was in to make the tackle for the Scots. Really good job there, as Mitchell is the running threat. And everybody in the house knew that play that he was going to get the football. Great job on defense by the Scots and a loss of about 3.
Second down and 13 for Oregon City. 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter and the clock running. This will go on the fly sweep to Martin. And he will get up past the 30-yard line, close to the 32-yard line, about a 6-yard gain on the play.
Okay, they've got Nick Martin at 5'6", 140. And he actually plays bigger than that.
He does.
He's a tough kid.
And he's fast, too, as well.
He is very quick. He's a junior. Number 5, Nick Martin.
Third down and 7. And the pass comes out in the direction of Odes, I should say, makes the catch, enough for the first down. They move the chains, so they pick up the third down and 7. And a nice third down conversion there for the Oregon City offense.
And again, the defensive secondary for David Douglas playing off. But at this point, you're just fine as the defensive coordinator to give them that underneath stuff. You don't want them beating you deep.
Oregon City did have some opportunities to do that in the first half as some balls were dropped. As Thompson has this one, avoids a tackle. He's got the corner, takes on one defender, and taken down at the 42-yard line of David Douglas. But a big gain there from Mitchell Thompson. They're starting to gash that left-hand side of the right-hand side of the David Douglas defense.
Well, and the offensive line doing a great job, particularly out on the corner where they get the good seal block. Linebackers for David Douglas just not able to come up and make the play. Mitchell much too elusive and very quick. Mitchell well over 100 yards rushing here in the game.
No backs in the backfield with Tipton, and this will be a quarterback draw. Flag comes out. This will likely be a block in the back on Matthew Odes.
Well, either that or he tackled the defensive player. And here again, you know, if you're going to do that stuff, it's probably preferable you don't do it right in front of the official. those guys in the stripes are always there to catch you.
They tend to see those ones, especially when they're right in front of them.
Yeah, not too difficult. You don't need to replay to figure this one out.
And as we mentioned, the Aloha Lakeridge score earlier in favor of Lakeridge, 34-21. Aloha, Thomas Tyner, one play, 60 yards. It's now 34-28.
Well, there's the benefit of having a player like Thomas Tyner. Get you back in the football game very quickly.
As you look at, we go through the season, we get into the playoffs. How important is it, do you think, or how pertinent is it for teams to have a superstar to rely on once they get deep into the playoffs?
Well, I'd rather have one than not. Let's put it that way.
Delayed handoff to Thompson here. David Douglas sniffs that one out, though, way back behind the line of scrimmage. As one of the big boys up front for the Scots takes down this play behind the line of scrimmage, and now it's about 2nd and a mile for Oregon City. Big number 76.
Elijah Staples Klaus.
Second and 25. Great pressure up once again from the David Douglas defense. Flag comes out here. Thrown by the head referee, so we'll have to see what this call is.
Well, a couple things could be. Could be a hold, which is probably why they're talking to David Douglas. There was a lot of pressure on Tipton. And those offensive linemen, there's a creed with their quarterbacks. They'll do anything they can to protect you. And in this case, I think they had to probably reach out and grab somebody to make sure that they didn't get the big hit. It was Ebukam who came in with the big pressure.
Got upfield.
He's a load anyway, and with a full head of steam, he's just very difficult to get under control. But it's fairly certain that it was a holding penalty, and the coaches for David Douglas have indicated they want to decline the penalty because it'll bring up a 3rd down and a long way to go.
Already 25 yards to go for the Oregon City offense.
Although I'm not so sure that I wouldn't.
With the plays we've seen in this game.
I'm not so sure I wouldn't go ahead and say, if you want to give them a penalty of 10 more, let's take that. But it is 3rd down, so now Oregon City's got to dial something up that gives them, even if they're to get half, they're still going to have a long way to go on 4th down.
.335 left here in the 3rd quarter. Oregon City leading 21-17. Tipton rolls to the right, throws it deep down the field into double coverage, and it's picked off by Kyle Miller. Coming the other way out to the 38-yard line, and David Douglas back in business.
Well, so they needed to go for the home run, and in so many ways, if you want to think of it this way, you've effectively punted the football. It just came as an interception. David Douglas is going to have the ball in their own territory at the 38-yard line. It would have been 4th and a long way to go anyway. But a great play in the defensive secondary by David Douglas to make the interception. And a throw, by the way, into double coverage. So good job on the back end again by the Scots.
Bad snap. Patrick picks it up. Will look down the field himself. Receiver was blocked off of that one as he was looking in the direction of Caden Spear.
And I do have to say, football is entertaining when teams are willing to put the ball down the field. Take a shot every once in a while. It keeps it entertaining, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And, my first thought was the minute the ball went on the ground, here comes a big play, because a lot of times the defense will freeze up.
React
in
to
the
that
secondary.
Too quickly. But good coverage there by the Pioneer secondary, as this looked like a bit of a broken play as well. Patrick running out to the far side, and will run out of bounds up near the 40-yard line.
And I don't know if you can see it, but Coach Strasser is very emphatic on the far sideline that his defensive end is getting hooked and held on anything outside. And now he's going to give the stripes an earful. You can see he's making sure his concerns are being addressed.
This would be a big stop for Oregon City here if they can force the punt out of David Douglas.
I go swing pass to Reesno in the flat.
Patrick will roll out to his left.
Or that.
And a nice pass completion of Kyle Miller, who is really having a great ball game here tonight.
Well, and again, so impressed that Miller knows he's got to drive the defender at least 12 to 13 yards down the field so he can come back to the ball and get enough yardage to pick up the first down. Really good job by the quarterback and the wide receiver.
A lot of those pass plays, it seems like Patrick is having a lot of success getting to the outside to buy some more time for himself to get the ball down the field as well.
And a right-hander rolling left and throwing to the left side, that's tough.
Reesno will take the handoff here. Breaks an arm tackle and moves the ball across midfield into Pioneer territory at the 48 with under 3 minutes left to go here in the third quarter.
Andre Reesno, 5'9", 165-pound junior. And you mentioned an arm tackle. An arm tackle's not going to bring him down. Very strong upper body. You've got to make sure you're at waist level and wrapping up in order to get Reesno to the ground.
Does a good job of putting that foot in the ground, too, and going north and south as well once he finds the hole. Patrick this time will look to throw, now run.
What a great decision that was.
And gets down inside the 45 to the 42-yard line and sets up a very manageable 3rd and 2.
Thing I liked about that was he recognized the opportunity and did not hesitate. Got right up the field and picked up nice yardage. A lot of times you'll see quarterbacks in the pocket under pressure think a little bit too much. That time Patrick decided tuck the ball and run. Good job.
Both these offenses have done a very good job of keeping the defenses off balance, not relying too much on the pass or the run, but mixing it up very well, and it sets up a 3rd down and 2 here for the Scott offense. Handoff up the middle to Reesno. He'll easily pick it up. And down inside the 35-yard line.
So, Fletcher, that's what I was talking about earlier in the game, where I think the success is running straight at football teams like Oregon City that are so quick on the edges, especially because the linebackers are so quick. And a lot of times what you'll do is if you're running the football at them, you catch them guessing. So that's why I like running the football right at really fast and physical linebackers.
And the Scots hurry things up, hand it off to Reesno once again up the middle, and he gets it down close to the 32.
The other thing about these two quarterbacks, both Tipton and Patrick, they are threats to run the football as well. So that's just another thing that the defense has to be thinking about.
Perkins takes the snap, play action. He looks down for Patterson, who makes the catch, stays on his feet, has an opportunity if he can find the corner. And taken out of bounds at the 3-yard line. David Douglas in business once again, 1st and goal as they look to try and take the lead.
Well, a great catch and a great throw by Patrick to Patterson. Kyle Patterson played a reserve role his junior year with a veteran group of wide receivers. Coaches have said he's really learned and worked hard through the offseason, and they've expected that he will make a difference as he did on that play.
Handoff up the middle to Reesno, and he will get taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Has no room to work with there. Good job by the Pioneer front and linebackers to stuff that one.
So now let's look back on the decision to go ahead and take the 1 point after the touchdown. They're sitting pretty good right now, 45 seconds in the third, a touchdown and an extra point. They lead the game by 3 points. So that's probably why, in thinking about that, they were satisfied to go ahead and get the 1 point after the last touchdown.
Yeah, too many possessions left to take the chance that early on in the third quarter. And we have a stoppage in play from the officials, and David Douglas will call a timeout. So with 24 seconds left here in the third quarter, and correction, Oregon City is the team that called the timeout. So 21-17 the Pioneers lead, but who knows for how long, as David Douglas has it 2nd and goal at the 5-yard line. You really have to like how David Douglas has come out and responded after a somewhat sluggish first half until their last offensive possession. They were able to get it in the end zone. They've come out and played very well on offense here in the second half.
Well, and I think that the difference here is the defense has been able to stop Oregon City. That's given them some confidence, and the offense has done a great job of taking advantage of opportunities. And really, at this point in the game, Oregon City, I think the reason that they've called the timeout is they've really got kind of punched in the mouth. They're back on their heels. David Douglas is ready to push the ball in for a touchdown. And this is really more than anything else probably, hey, guys, we need to regroup, get our heads clear. We've got to make a stop here. We don't want them to score the touchdown. Field goal's fine. We'd still be ahead. So I think the coaches for Oregon City wanted to just make it clear, fellas, we need to get ourselves back into this game, both mentally and physically. We've kind of taken a hit. Let's get after it.
If you're just tuning in, you're catching a good one here. 24 seconds left in the third quarter with Oregon City leading David Douglas 21-17 here on the PlayOn Sports Network. Jim Patterson, my analyst. I'm Fletcher Johnson. And second down and goal for the Scots. Pass comes. It's an easy catch for David Douglas, and they have their second lead of the evening.
Well, and just a great call by the offensive coordinator, because at the line of scrimmage, the corners were playing outside leverage. They simply gave the slant pass away, and the touchdown was very, very easy. The question was just make sure you catch it. He was wide open for the touchdown.
Quick slant to sophomore Hunter Davis, and he scores the touchdown. David Douglas now looks to extend the lead out to a field goal as Hugo Alvarez is on. Kick is up and through. And David Douglas, 24-21 on top of Oregon City.
Well,
late flag comes out, though.
So I was going to say, did anybody see Hugo Alvarez with a little dance move after the kick? And the official on the far side of the field saw that action, and he's been penalized for that, which means that they're going to get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty of some kind, which will be assessed on the kickoff. I'm fairly certain that they caught that one, and it will result in a penalty that will be enforced against David Douglas on the kickoff. I wouldn't call it excessive celebration, but it was clearly an inappropriate act by a member of the Scots team, as it turns out.
So, you know, there was never an official signal from the referee, so we'll have to see if they did call the penalty or not.
Well, that's a good point, because the flag got picked up. Now, oftentimes, there's the official with the penalty. It is unsportsmanlike. This is one of those cases, Fletcher, where the white hat, because of his position on the field, doesn't make the call when it's assessed on the kickoff. So the back judge in this case is the guy that gets to say what the penalty is. And we were right. It was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. So now they kick off from the 25-yard line, in Oregon City with a possibility to get some really good field position.
Hugo Alvarez will have a chance to show off that big leg, and he pumps this one down to the 20-yard line to Martin. And Martin will squeeze through a hole and get up close to the 40-yard line. So good field position here, as Jim mentioned, for Oregon City, as they look to try and get something rolling here at the end of the third quarter.
And this has been an entertaining football game, because it's really been a kind of an ebb and flow. Both teams at any 1 minute get themselves offensively in a good rhythm, only to be shut down by some good defensive play. So down the stretch, this could be a close one.
As David Douglas now with the lead, 24-21. If you're just joining us, Oregon City in the red helmets, red jerseys, and black pants. David Douglas in the red helmets, white jerseys, and silver pants. And that is the end of the third quarter. 3 in the books out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium. David Douglas on top, 24-21 over Oregon City. We'll be back with the fourth quarter next here on the PlayOn Sports Network.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're going to try to dictate to you what you're going to do on both offense and defense.
Now it's time to put the hats on and go get some work done.
So they're all going to look to make a statement early.
Back live at the start of the fourth quarter here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium. Fletcher Johnson along with Jim Patterson. And David Douglas currently with the lead, 24-21, second down for the Pioneers. And it will be thrown out to the far side and taken across midfield, enough for the first down by Justin Cornejo, who made his name known in the first half with a beautiful acrobatic catch. And he gets this one here to pick up the first down for the Pioneers.
Well, they get good field position as a result of a penalty, unsportsmanlike after an extra point against the Scots, and now come out guns a-blazing to start the fourth quarter.
Handoff this time to Mitchell right up the middle. Runs into a couple Scots and picks up about 2. Make it 3.
So 24-21 with the Pioneers really in a good position right now. David Douglas defensively has done a really nice job in the second half. But again, both these offenses have the quick strike mentality, and at any one time a big play could come, and this thing could be, right back to being really competitive.
It's Tipton on the quarterback draw, trips and falls, and is down at about the 40-yard line. So pickup of 2 on the play sets up a 3rd down and 5 for the Pioneers.
Kyle Miller, number 12, came in for the Scots and actually pressured Mitchell. And I think Tipton actually tripped over Mitchell's foot as he was being manhandled there by Miller in the backfield.
Handoff will go to Mitchell. He tries to expose that right-hand side, is down close to the 35-yard line, depends on the spot, and it's right on the 35-yard line. And it is enough for a first down, that far side judge says. So Oregon City picks up the first down. Nice run there by Mitchell Thompson to get just enough.
And I'm sure that the coaches during the changeover from the third to fourth quarter mentioned ball security. Turnovers could be huge here, so taking care of the football is at a premium.
Tipton back to pass. He'll look deep. Looking for Cornejo. It falls incomplete. Cornejo had a step, as we've seen all night long, but just cannot connect with Tipton there.
Well, he was wide open, and if Tipton gets just a little more air underneath the ball, gets it up just a little bit more, he threw a strike. He needed to put a little arc on that so that the fast and speedy Cornejo could run underneath it. But he has been open pretty much all night.
He has. They've connected once for a touchdown and look to try and do it again there. Delayed handoff to Thompson up the middle, breaks 2-3 tackles, eventually taken down close to the 20-yard line by Kyle Miller. But the delayed handoff to Thompson, a nice gain right up the middle.
Well, and a great call because it's a delay. It's basically a draw play, and after a success throwing the football down the field, the defensive front for David Douglas is going to be coming. They've pinned their ears back, and you catch those D linemen on the draw play for a big hitter.
3 backs in the backfield for Tipton as Thompson gets the handoff. He'll bounce it out to the left. Beautiful play there by Reesno to take him down inside the 10-yard line, as Reesno was really the last line of defense.
And if Matthew Odes is able to get a block, that's probably a touchdown. I can tell you that one of the things that you coach the back to do is, as he hits that corner, be looking for that receiver. Depending on which way he tries to turn that guy, you cut the other direction. And there was just a little confusion about which way Odes was going to take his man.
And a big something to keep an eye on. Elijah Staples Claus came out of the game there, one of the big guys in the middle for David Douglas here down close to the line of scrimmage. Pass will go out in the direction of Odes. Catch is made, but he's out of play, and you heard some people owing as Oregon City had a man, Jordan Villarreal Ferguson, wide open in the flat, and Tipton just didn't see him.
Well, more than likely, the play call is to Odes, And instead of coming off the primary receiver to see the guy short, Tipton decided to try to go for it all. Unfortunately, the ball just carried a little bit too deep into the end zone. Odes made a catch, but he was out of the back of the end zone. The official was right there to make that call.
Handoff will go to Villarreal Ferguson. He's taken down close to the 5-yard line. So 3rd down and goal now for Oregon City is what they look at. Under 9 minutes to go in this game. David Douglas leading 24-21.
So 3rd and goal here.
Now what are you looking at? 5 yards away.
I really think that something like a play action pass would be really good here, because they've had some success running Mitchell up the middle of the field.
And Mitchell Thompson not in the game right now.
They've got the Villarreal Ferguson in the backfield. I'd look for some sort of play action or draw here.
They'll look for the double move out of the back of the end zone. Just not a lot of room to work with on a play like that, Jim.
Well, they're throwing to the short side of the field. They're at the 5-yard line. Not a lot of room in the end zone. And the other thing is, it was pretty clear they were going to throw the football, so the defenders were immediately on their men. I think a play action, something of that nature, where you freeze the linebackers, keep the corners up, probably would have been a better call, but it's always easy to second guess, and now a field goal attempt to try to tie the game.
Slack comes on. He'll boot it up and through. The 22-yard field goal, good for Daniel Slack and the Oregon City Pioneers. And with 8 minutes and 10 seconds left in the 4th quarter, we are tied up at Pioneer Memorial Stadium at 24 apiece. On the PlayOn Sports Network, Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson here with you. Pleasure to have you along. We've seen a back-and-forth game. Really a pretty clean game as well, Jim. Only 2 turnovers, I believe, and not a ton of penalties either.
No, so far so good. I mean, this is what you would expect with 3 games into the season. After a long summer, both teams fully engaged in summer workouts. They spent the daily doubles. They've played a couple ball games. Each team at 1-1, so they've got a win. They've had a loss. They've played each other 4 times. I think twice last year. So they know each other very well. It's not surprising to me that the game is tied. But I think I am surprised at the resiliency that both teams have showed. And it's been an entertaining game, and with 8 minutes left to go, it could go either way. I think it might come down to actually a special teams play, maybe a field goal.
Yeah, these 2 teams met in the playoffs last year, the 2nd round, and it was Oregon City getting the better of David Douglas 28-18. So, you know, the Scots would like to avenge that one, a team that, as we mentioned off the top of the broadcast, has 35 seniors on it. So there's some players on this David Douglas team that remember that loss to Oregon City. And they have an opportunity to avenge that here tonight. Slack's kickoff will go down to the 10 and be taken there. Now past the 25 to the 30-yard line. It goes Brian Durbin. And David Douglas will once again take over as Tim Patrick comes back out on the field. And they've really kept the Oregon City defense off balance here in the second half.
Well, and if Patrick is used as a running threat as well, it just is one extra thing that the defense has to worry about. And I think that's what I would try to focus on now, mixed between Patrick and Reesno.
And Reesno here taken down behind the line of scrimmage by the Pioneers. Great defensive play there by the Pioneers.
Now again, the strength of the offense is that it's fairly clear that on a zone read play, if Patrick's able to fake the ball to Reesno and keep it, there's a lot of football field wide open, lots of room to run. Look for a zone read play of some type here.
Austin Bjorkman on the tackle on that last play. Quick pass out to Patterson on the near side. Flag comes out.
Well, and I think this is going to be an unfortunate penalty, because if my guess is correct, Kyle Miller came inside and laid a block on a linebacker. And my thought is that if they feel like he went for the head, it actually looked like from here a clean block to me. But it would appear that they've called it a block in the back. Well, so the difference there, Fletcher, is it's all about the angles. And from where the official's out on the field, it happened to be the, I think it was the back judge. And from where he was at, it looked like a block in the back. So that's what they call.
So 2nd and 19 now for David Douglas in a tie ball game. Patrick has Reasno behind him. And will look to throw. Look down the center of the field. Miller cut to the outside, and Patrick threw it to the inside.
Well, so just a little mix-up between whether it's a post or whether it's a corner. Quarterback, in reading the secondary, threw the ball to the middle of the field. The receiver, Miller, had to read differently, broke it to the outside. Ball lands incomplete. And now this is kind of a crucial third down play here.
3rd down and 19 at your own 21-yard line.
Field position here is key.
Be careful with the ball as Patrick fumbles it, and he's taken down, and he tries to flip it forward. Be interesting to see what they call here. Did they call him down? I think they did. So credit a sack to the Oregon City defense on the play, and a nice stop for the Pioneers as well as they force a David Douglas punt.
Well, it couldn't have turned out any better if you're an Oregon City fan, because now it's a battle of field position based on where the punt returner, Nick Martin, is located. He's going to be at about the 50-yard line, so you would expect with a decent return here, Oregon City will have the ball somewhere around the 40 to 35-yard line of David Douglas.
David Douglas will punt it from their own goal line. This one gets off, but it is a short kick and takes a big Oregon City bounce down to the 35-yard line. So Oregon City takes over with great field position at the David Douglas 35 in a tie ball game, 6:43 left. This is certainly an interesting one here we've got for you on the PlayOn Sports Network on PlayOnSports.com. An exciting game in week 3 here of the high school football season as both these teams get ready for conference play coming up.
I think I'd dial up like a fade or a post route.
Got man-to-man coverage. But the handoff will go to Thompson. Thompson gets to the second level, breaks an arm tackle, and will tiptoe down the sideline to the 15-yard line.
Well, so he picks up almost 20 yards on the carry there. And I think part of that, Fletcher, is just that, you know, Strasser has been able to call a really good game, and it's just it's all guessing at this point as to what they're going to do. And with Thompson as a running back, you can count on him to get good yardage every time he touches the ball.
And he'll get it again here. Jumps over one man and pick up a few yards, but David Douglas's Anthony Brown created a big body there on the ground, and that Thompson had to jump over and was only able to pick up 3.
Well, you tell your defensive linemen, make a pile, and that's exactly what happened there. Made it difficult for Thompson to get yardage.
Tipton will look to throw. Man-to-man coverage on the outside. He's got Cornejo. Cornejo gets down inside the 7-yard line. And it will set up a 3rd down and a big one here, although Oregon City well within field goal range as we are under 6 minutes left to go here in the 4th quarter of a tie ball game.
I always like the play where you get the ball to one of your best, most speedy athletes and just let him go one-on-one against strength.
Handoff will go up the middle to Thompson. He's easily got the 1st down and down close to the goal line as well as he pounds that left side of the offensive line. So a 1st down and goal for the Pioneers as they threaten to take the lead.
So really, Oregon City wants to try to score as quickly as they possibly can. If, in fact, David Douglas was to answer, they'd probably get the ball back one last time.
Thompson will get the handoff. He bounces it out to the right. He'll walk into the end zone. The lead back to the Pioneers with 5:08 left here in the fourth quarter, 30-24.
Mitchell Thompson's definitely been the workhorse for Oregon City on the ground. And the offensive line, we haven't talked a whole lot about guys like Hagler and some of the other big offensive linemen, but they've done a great job as well in neutralizing a big David Douglas defensive front. Nice job there as Mitchell Thompson scores the go-ahead touchdown.
Slack's extra point is up and no good.
Oh, my.
So the lead remains 6 for Oregon City with 5 minutes and 8 seconds left here in the fourth quarter. And we want to remind you as well, we will have a post-game wrap here on PlayOnSports.com. Give you a player of the game for both teams and look over some of the highlights from this one, as we've seen a back-and-forth battle between Oregon City and David Douglas out here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium in Oregon City, Oregon.
So how important is the snap and the placement of a ball for an extra point? Well, we just saw how important it was because the ball was snapped low. The holder could not get the ball literally standing straight up, and the extra point got pushed wide to the right. So the question now is, will that one come back to get you?
Not the situation you want to be in. You're certainly happy to be leading at this point, but 6 is a dangerous number no matter what level of football you're at.
Well, and David Douglas has to feel pretty good now. I mean, they've been scored on, but guess what? We score a touchdown and convert an extra point, and we're leading the football game. So that gives them some hope that they're still in this thing.
Slack will kick off. And Reesno will take it at his 7-yard line. And he gets absolutely planted as he gets out past the 20.
Really good kick coverage by Oregon City. Reesno, a great athlete, terrific ball carrier, but he just had no place to go as the guys in red, white, and black threw a net around him. And now David Douglas, pretty simple. They've got to drive 80 yards, score a touchdown, kick an extra point, and they're ahead.
Patrick will take the snap, hand it off to Reesno. And great pursuit there by the Oregon City defense, especially Andrew Etzel, who takes down Reesno after a very short gain.
And again, anything that gets bounced outside, Oregon City has just done a great job the entire game of really limiting any big yardage plays on any sort of sweep or counter outside the tackles.
Patrick will take the snap, quick throw out to one of his receivers out there. He's got a lot of room to work with, and he gets out close to the 30-yard line, gets pushed back, but is able to eke that ball back out across the 30-yard line. I believe he'll still be short of the first down, though. And he'll set up a third down as the clock is running. 4 minutes, 15 seconds left to go here in the fourth quarter.
So the plays are being signaled in from the sideline by David Douglas coaches. Ebukam now comes in the ball game, probably has the play. David Douglas looks like they're a little bit confused at this point on a big third down and short yardage, and they need to get the snap off.
Patrick will take the snap, hand it off to Reesno. Reesno gets the corner. He's got a lot of room to work with. They are going to catch him. Touchdown, David Douglas, as Reesno takes it to the house, 70 yards, and we're tied up here at Pioneer Memorial Stadium.
Well, just that quick. Mr. Reesno takes it to the end zone, and what a great job of blocking up front. They ran a little counter play. They pulled the guard from the backside, and got a great seal block on the linebacker. And then once Reesno saw the crease between the corner and his wideout, he turned on the Jets and nobody was going to catch him. What a great play and a great run by Andre Reesno.
Now we will see if David Douglas can convert the extra point after Oregon City failed to just moments ago.
Well, if anybody was thinking about stopping the streaming, I think we'll keep them around for a little bit. This is a dandy.
It certainly is, and what a game it has turned out to be here in the second half. The extra point up and good, and David Douglas back on top, 31-30 with 3:31. That's a lot of threes left to go here in the fourth quarter.
Well, I would say the last 12 to 14 minutes of the ball game have really been two teams that look like they're in mid-season form, where early on in the game, you know, they were having some trouble getting into their rhythm. But I'll tell you what, I had mentioned at the line of scrimmage it looked like they may not have had the right play call, or they were confused, or maybe they weren't sure about what was going on. But I'm not so sure that they didn't have that one in the bag. They knew exactly what they wanted to do. They called the right play against the right defense, and then they got terrific execution. Again, the pulling guard with that seal block on the linebacker really was what did it. And then Reesno got a great block from the wideout. He did his part, though, made a great read. Once he cut off that block, there was nobody going to stop him because there was not a safety back deep.
So now the pressure goes back to Oregon City, as they will now have to drive to at the very least get a field goal in the final 3:31. Hugo Alvarez will kick off for the Scots. Martin and Thompson back deep to receive. This one will be taken by the up-back Ferguson. And he's right in the middle of that pile. Still hasn't gotten taken down yet. Finally dragged down as he gets across the 30-yard line out to close to the 34.
You know, I know I've referred to this, but I have been really impressed with special teams on kick returns for both teams. I mean, the kids up front are doing a great job. You know, typically you're going to have an assignment. Okay, there's your guy. Here he comes. Guys are really picking up their men, and then the guys who get the ball are not hesitating at all. They're taking it right up the middle of the field, and that's when you're going to get the most production out of your special teams and kick return.
Thompson will take the handoff, gets up past the 35 and taken down close to the 40-yard line.
And this is the part of the game where the fact that you've used Thompson so much really plays to your advantage, because now anything that you do play action off of Thompson is really going to have the defenders kind of sitting and waiting, and that's when you can sneak somebody behind the defensive secondary.
Tipton will throw this one. He hits Martin across the 45, enough for the first down, and up to the 48. Clock stops with 2 minutes and 48 seconds left so that the chains can move.
So they did go play action that time with a little ball fake to Thompson. Had the twin receivers out to the left side, the short side of the field. Little stagger route, simple little pitch and catch, and a first down for the Pioneers.
Cornejo in motion. Handoff will go to Thompson to the near side. And a great play made there by the David Douglas defense. And Zach Brewer, as he fought off the block, was able to take down Thompson. But they say that he did get out of bounds. And no, the clock is running now. So we are under 2.5 minutes left to go. Second down and 9 for the Pioneers right at midfield.
And that was a great play by Zach Brewer as he took on the blocker, shed it, and made a tackle.
Tipped in the quick throw out to Cornejo. Tries to make a man miss, but is taken down at about the 42.
Fletcher, that's the kind of stuff that these kids work on during those 7-on-7 passing leagues. This kind of stuff where it's the quick hitter to the outside. They've probably literally thrown hundreds of those routes, even throughout the course of the summer, because of these summer leagues that a lot of these teams will get in, where it's just shorts and shirts, but it's offense against defense, wide receivers and quarterbacks.
Thompson
good execution.
Takes the handoff here, cuts inside one man, and gets down inside the 35-yard line, enough for the first down, so the clock stops with 1:42 left.
Now the Pioneers, if you remember, had taken a timeout on a David Douglas drive where they were going to score. So they've got 2 timeouts left in the ball game. David Douglas has all 3. So that's why we see a bit of a sense of urgency on the part of the Pioneers.
Handoff will once again, this time go to Ferguson, who's in the game for Sealy, or for Thompson, I should say. And down inside the 30 to the 28. Clock continuing to run, though. Under a minute 25 to go.
So basically what they're trying to do is give Mitchell Thompson at least a playoff in between every 2 or 3, because as we've said, he has been the workhorse for the Pioneers.
Thompson takes it right. Quick hitter up the middle, close down to the 20-yard line. Clock will stop for the chains to move. Minute and 7 seconds left. Will be first down for the Pioneers.
Well, and let's remember that missed extra point means the Pioneers need to score in order to take the lead. A field goal does them no good.
Thompson stuffed up in the middle of the line, and Oregon City will call their second timeout with 58 seconds left.
So the Pioneers call the timeout. They've got 1 left. Ball is just inside the 20-yard line. Again, a field goal doesn't do them any good, so now they've got to figure out a way to get the ball into the end zone. Even with a conversion, that only puts them up by 3. David Douglas will have all their timeouts. And at this point, you know, the other part of this, Fletcher, is that Oregon City wants to make sure that when they score, they don't leave too much time for David Douglas to then turn around and drive the length of the field to score or kick a field goal to tie the game.
So we reset things for you. It's David Douglas, 31, Oregon City, 30.
No wonder you were giving me such a look. So it is 31-30, so a field goal does in fact mean something. My apologies. I was looking at the scoreboard, not to point fingers at anybody.
Hey. Well, so and we're playing, it's an Oregon City home game too, so they were
That's right. That's right. So my apologies. A field goal does matter. So that does change things a little bit. It gives Oregon City a little bit more flexibility as to what they do here.
Tipton under center. Hard count will take it and hand it off to Thompson. Going up the middle, gets through a hole, taken down. Shoestring tackle by Miller there, right at about the 12. Clock running now, 46, 45, 44 seconds left.
So now this is about the judicious use of that final and precious timeout. It's all about trying to get the ball positioned in the middle of the field if you're not going to try to hit the home run and go for the touchdown.
Tipton will take it, quarterback draw right up the middle. He'll have enough for the first down, so the clock will stop with 25 seconds left.
So they have a timeout. I think what they wind up wanting to do is position the ball more towards the middle of the field.
And
I think this is a wise timeout if David Douglas takes it.
Yes, David Douglas did call the timeout. So the game reset, 31-30 in favor of David Douglas. 25 seconds left, first and goal for Oregon City.
Now some people would say, you know, why would you take the timeout defensively when in fact that really kind of helps the offense? But here's the deal. You really want to make sure that you have an opportunity to talk to the kids about, okay, what are the tendencies that we've seen Oregon City actually do during gameplay at this situation in the game, and they're going to talk about a number of different scenarios as to what might happen. So you might as well call the timeout to make sure you get all the kids' attention, because you can bring everybody in at one time, look them in the eye and say, all right, fellas, here's what we need to do. This is what they're most likely to do. So a good timeout for David Douglas in order to get ready for what is going to be a huge play by the Pioneers.
Because especially considering the struggle that Oregon City had on that last extra point attempt, you want to try and force them to kick the field goal and not give up a touchdown here.
The last thing that Oregon City wants to do is run a play and get caught inside the stripes where they have to use the timeout before they want to do that to kick the field goal, if that in fact is what they wind up doing.
Tipton is under center. He'll hand it off to Thompson, trying to bounce it outside. Is he there? He's taken down at about the half-yard line. I don't know who it was, but what a great play by the David Douglas defense. And Oregon City's going to rush to the line here. And David Douglas will call the timeout. And he got the sense that a couple of those David Douglas coaches, the defensive coaches, were saying, let him go for it. We'll stop him.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am really impressed with that defensive play, and here's why. It would have been really easy to let Mitchell score. And I'm not sure who it was from the linebacker position, but he came up and hit Thompson a pretty good lick. And the ball's now at the half-yard line.
Because Thompson had his shoulders squared towards the end zone.
I thought he was going to score.
Yeah. From our vantage point, it certainly looked like it.
But what a great defensive play. And so now it sets up even more drama because you've only got 9 seconds left to go in the game. It's very questionable about whether or not you want to take a chance of getting caught without scoring a touchdown.
You do still have one timeout if you're Oregon City, though. As Tipton's under center, he's got Thompson directly behind him. The crowd on their feet. Thompson will dive. He's not in. He's not in. He stopped short. So Oregon City will call the timeout. 6 seconds left, but a great defensive stop there by David Douglas. Thompson tried to dive off that left-hand side and was stuffed.
Well, so it's coming down to a field goal. We figured special teams might, in fact, play into the result of the football game. Oregon City's kicker and the holder and the snapper are now going to actually get a chance to redeem themselves after missing on the extra point. And if they can get everything right and a ball between the pipes, they'll win the football game.
It was Antoine Lawrence on the defensive stop who blew up that play as Mitchell Thompson dove but didn't get the ball to the line. And it sets up one heck of an opportunity for Daniel Slack, the 5'6", 160-pound senior kicker for the Pioneers. And holding it for him will be Clay Valenzuela-Reese.
So the last time the ball was snapped, it was on the ground. The holder had a difficult time getting it to the tee. Let's see what happens this time. And now David Douglas is going to burn their last time out, which is pretty smart because now he's got to think just a little bit longer about what happens here as he tries to win the game.
Joshua Miller will be the holder when the play does take place. We've seen one heck of a back-and-forth battle, especially once we got into the second half, Jim. It was a bit of a sluggish start throughout the course of the first half, but these two sides have gone back and forth in the second half.
Well, this has been a very entertaining football game, and both teams here in the second half really have played very well. I mean, offensively, they've done pretty much what I think the coaches would expect. They've executed very well, and we've had a mixture of big plays, which has been very exciting, and now you're coming down to one kick to win the football game for Oregon City. You think there's just a little pressure here?
Joshua Miller will snap. Clay Valenzuela-Reese will hold, and Slack will kick. Snap good, place good, kick is up, and it's through. Oregon City jumps in front 33-31 with 3 seconds left.
And the way this game has gone, Fletcher, I think we'd be irresponsible if we didn't say there is 3 seconds left and anything could happen. David Douglas is going to get the ball back for one play.
And the man who took it to the house, Andre Reesno, will be back to return this kick.
So some of the concern here was after the field goal was made, some overly rambunctious, probably middle schoolers ran out onto the field into the end zone, and David Douglas's coaches were wanting some sort of penalty to be called, which they're not going to do that. I don't think some of the fans even knew that there was still time on the clock. So I think they managed that situation very well. And now the situation is David Douglas has got a 0. We talked about how special teams, the kick return game, has been so well executed. David Douglas wants to get it absolutely right here. And by the way, that kick probably cleared the cross by what, a foot?
Yeah,
or two?
not too much.
But it doesn't matter. It went through.
It went through.
It went over and it went through, and that's all that matters. I think one of the things that's being discussed is, do you even want to try to kick the ball deep? Why would you kick the ball deep? You'd be better off just almost kicking like an onside kick or something low on the ground at the front line. I wouldn't suspect that they've got their hands team on. Of course, the danger of that is that if one of these guys was able to pick it up and you've got your guys running, I've seen it happen. You've seen it happen. Guys take it to the house off of an onside kick. So let's see what they do.
Slack will kick this one, and it's taken at about the 12-yard line.
Here we go.
Things will get a little crazy here, but Reesno will be taken down, and that is the ball game as Oregon City, on a last-second field goal by Daniel Slack, wins here at the Pioneer Memorial Coliseum 33-31 over the David Douglas Scots. We'll be back with a post-game show. We'll get you the players of the game and take a look back at some of the highlights of the evening as well as we continue on here on the PlayOn Sports Network.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful.
We're coming in on 1.
For more information on how your school can join the PlayOn School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
4th and 10 from the 41-yard.
Back live at Pioneer Memorial Coliseum. Jim Patterson and Fletcher Johnson back with you for a final time here on PlayOnSports.com. Saw a great one tonight as Oregon City takes care of David Douglas on a last-second field goal, 22 yards by Daniel Slack. So one heck of a football game we saw here tonight. And first for the David Douglas Scots, Jim, we saw some outstanding performances across the board, but who do you look at as your player of the game?
Well, I think Andre Reesno is the guy that gets the player of the game tag for David Douglas. And I think they're going to look back on this close competitive football game early in the season, and somewhere down the line this will probably help their football team. I mean, this really, towards the end of the game, I'm not kidding, it kind of had a playoff atmosphere. I mean, the fans were into the game. The two teams were into the game. Clearly there was a lot on the line. David Douglas and 35 seniors, they wanted to win the football game. However, this is a non-conference game, right? They are now going to go into the Mount Hood League. They've played in a very competitive game. It was close. They didn't come out on the right end this night, but somewhere down the line, I think this game will help them. And Andre Reesno showed that he's going to be one of the conference's best, if not the best, running backs this year.
Over on the Oregon City side of things, they beat David Douglas for the 4th time in the past 3 years, and they had outstanding performances across the board as well. Who do you give their player of the game to?
Well, again, we're going to go with a running back. Mitchell Thompson, number 22, really the workhorse, well over 150 yards rushing in the football game. Tipton had a good game at quarterback, but really the key was Mitchell Thompson. When they were in trouble, when they needed tough yards, when they needed to keep a drive alive, they hand the ball off to number 22. The offensive line did a great job, but Mitchell Thompson would be my player of the game for Oregon City.
It was a great game all the way around. We saw a turnover early that created some momentum for David Douglas, and then Oregon City came back with 14 unanswered. Then David Douglas pulled back a touchdown before the half. It was 14-10 at the break. Here we are at 33-31. So a lot of scoring in the second half as these two sides go back and forth. As these two teams move forward, this game certainly, even though David Douglas lost, has to help them in their confidence in what they're trying to do and make the playoffs and win their leagues moving forward.
Well, and I think that there's just so much good that both teams can take out of this. Little things like special teams, a snap, a hold, a kick. In this game, it didn't wind up costing Oregon City a loss. It could have. That's something I'm sure they'll work on this week. For David Douglas, very competitive in the game. And you know what? They never quit. They got down early. They could have gotten down a lot more. but Coach Wood kept the kids in the game. They played some great defense in the second half. And again, this close loss, it's non-league. Now they move into their league play. Their goal is to make the playoffs. I think they'll look back at this, and probably it'll help them.
That'll do it for us from Pioneer Memorial Stadium. Reminder, coming up next week on PlayOnSports.com here in the state of Oregon. You can find it on OSAA.tv as well. Century and Tigard, and also Westland and South Salem. But here tonight, it finishes 33-31 in favor of the Oregon City Pioneers over the David Douglas Scots. For everyone involved in the broadcast tonight, Jeff Foss and J.D. Connor running things behind the scenes. My analyst, Jim Patterson. I'm Fletcher Johnson. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week here on the Play On Sports Network.